better on. Okay, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give like one more minute because women are in the other room getting some food. Thank you, Dina Leah, for showing us your beautiful face on camera. So let me just, technically, right now we're in Rita's house, Rita Shafa, and she prepared a beautiful breakfast. And generally we're planning to do it actually at Shoshana Pe'er's house. She offered to do it every Sunday, almost every Sunday. But on Sundays that we don't have an actual breakfast, we can't plan on every Sunday having a breakfast. So whenever we don't, we're going to have it on Zoom. So, and we already actually started this class. We had like one or two classes like before, one last week and one before the Chag. And the goal is to learn the Sichot of the Rebbe. This is from the Lubavitch Rebbe. And most specifically, these are the Sichot of 1991, 1992. And it's kind of like the Sichot that are focused on Mashiach and Geula. Geula and Mashiach. And how to have a mindset of the future. I'm wondering if somebody can pass me that. I want to put this a little higher. This Facebook thing.
I have this here.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
What about that one?
Yeah, she's using it for something else. I use it. Yeah, thank you. Just okay, I feel more secure. Okay, so in these sichot, the Rebbe really opens up our mind to a whole new way of thinking, and the Rebbe really wants us to have like a future type of outlook on life, a futuristic. What's coming ahead, where we're moving towards, how we're going to get into the future. So it's not a history, it's not about history, it's not about, it's not even so much about, it's very focused on positive. It's not so much about what's wrong and what needs to be fixed. It's more focused on how to move forward to have a future of Mashiach and Geula. And the Rebbe just keeps very, very strong throughout this, the 1991, 1990, very, very focused on the way we're supposed to think, and what we're supposed to learn, the approaches we're supposed to take to things that are happening in the world, the current events, how to relate to ourselves, how to relate to the world, so that the world can become more ready for Mashiach and more. We're in the times of Mashiach actually, and we're just getting everybody else on board, basically ourselves and everybody else. Like Mashiach, the Rebbe says Mashiach is ready to come. It's just a matter, and the time is here, and we're in the last generation of Galut, the first generation of Geula. It's all like it's unfolding right now, and we're all getting into this mindset together of really tuning into the Geula, because a lot of it has to do with how we're seeing life and how we're seeing ourselves, how we're seeing the reality. The more we can change our mindset, the more the Geula will come within ourselves. Then the whole world is ready for Geula. So it's really a personal thing that each and every one of us has to manifest within ourselves, bring a new consciousness and a reality that we're developing within ourselves, and that will affect everybody around us too, and it affects the whole world. So it's for many, many years, the Rebbe was asking Chabad Hasidim to do the 10 Miftzayim, and he still wants us to do it, right? Learning Torah is one of them. And but later on, the Rebbe said, focus on not just learning Torah in general, not just halacha, learning the laws, but also learning and not just Pnimiut Torah, which is the inner dimensions of Torah, but also learn the Torah of the times of Mashiach. Like what exactly is going to happen. The Rambam talks about it, how it's going to be, all the prophecies that have to do with it. The Rambam discusses them and discusses the things that seem conflicting and confusing, and the Rebbe explains a lot of these things, so we have an understanding what it's going to be like in the times of Mashiach. The Rebbe really wants us to focus on this kind of learning, so that we can actually start living with this consciousness of Mashiach. And that, he says, makes it happen quicker. So I'm going to read to you insight from this book, Dvar Malchut. It's the Rebbe's teachings from this particular one I think is 1992, and it's on the parasha. Parashat Lech Lecha. So in Parashat Lech Lecha, what happens? Hashem says to Avraham Avinu, go out, leave your father's home, and go to a different land, a new land, and go to a new place. So the Rebbe says this is not just a physical moving. It wasn't just physically he had to move. Spiritually also, the Rebbe wanted him to go, leave completely the way of thinking that he had, even though he was on a very high level. He was teaching people. He was on such a high level that they threw him in the fire, right? And they said, if you don't believe in idols, you believe in one God, we'll throw you in the fire. And he said, okay. And they threw him in the fire, and he came out alive. So he had all these tests. He was on a very high level, but still Hashem said, leave this place and go to a higher place of consciousness, of relating. And what was this higher place? How could you go higher than that? Mesilut Nefesh was like he was willing to die for Hashem. How can you go higher than that? That seems like that's, right? That would be the highest of the high. And the Rebbe explains, no, the highest of the high is not necessarily leaving this world or being willing even to leave this world. The highest of the high is to actually come into the land, come into, to bring Hashem, the revelation of Hashem, into this physical world. So when Rita sets up a beautiful table and she buys the sushi and she buys the bagels and she buys the cheese and she buys all the little details and the forks and the spoons and the knives and which where and how, this is all bringing Hashem into the physicality of the world and the many, many, many details. And it's bringing Hashem's consciousness into this world to many people, through the physical world. So that's the even higher level. That is an even higher level than the Mesilut Nefesh of being willing to die for Hashem. Hashem doesn't want us to die for Hashem. Hashem wants us to live in this physical world and bring the light of Kedusha into this world. Make a dira b'tachtonim, a place where Hashem feels comfortable. So Hashem feels very comfortable in this home right now. He's very happy that we're all here together and that we're learning and that we're taking the Torah learning into our lives and bringing a new reality into our mindset and into the people around us. So I'm going to bring it a little bit from inside. And when it's like 11, stop me, okay? Because I want to give we have all these wonderful, here, welcome. Thank you for coming. Okay, so here we go. I'm not going to do the whole introduction because it's a long sikha. I just decided I'm just going to skip the whole beginning. I gave you a little taste of a little bit of what he said at the beginning. And we're going to the very end where the Rebbe is speaking about more how to bring this into actuality. Everything he taught. He taught a very long, beautiful sikha about the Pasha. And we're skipping, okay? So I'm giving you the crux of it at the end. So just understand, I'm skipping a lot. So if you ever want to learn the whole thing, you're welcome to. But we're just going to take a little taste of it. Okay, so in this parasha, the Rebbe says when there's this concept of coming into the land of Eretz Yisrael, right? He told Avraham Avinu to go into the land, and it's also referring to us. We have to come into Eretz Yisrael. So on a spiritual level, what does it mean spiritually to come into Eretz Yisrael? Because everything we have to live the parasha. It's not just a nice idea. This is an idea that we want to take to learn a lesson for us. So we this week want to focus on coming into Eretz Yisrael in a spiritual way. So what does that mean? So there's the land, it says there's the land of the 7 nations. That's the land of Canaan. That's where they came into before. It was called Eretz Yisrael. It was called Eretz Canaan, and there were 7 nations living there. And there were 3 non-Jewish nations. Oh, they were all non-Jewish. There were 7 in the land of Israel and 3 on the other side of the Jordan River, before they crossed the land. So in Chassidut and Kabbalah, it explains what does this signify. The 7 nations in the land of Israel are what represent the work that we have to do on ourselves, within ourselves, on our midot, on our emotions. There's 7 emotions that Chassidut and Kabbalah explain. It starts with Chesed, and then Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. I just gave Rita a book. I think some of it. Oh, here. There's a lot of books that will explain it. One of them is like a basic book, what you need to know about Kabbalah, from Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg. There's another book also on the soul, on the anatomy of the soul, also by Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg. And there's other very good rabbis who also have written a lot of it. Rabbi Dover Pinson I like, and tell me some more. There's Rabbi Chaim Miller. There's, who else is there? There's David
Rabbi Kaplan, Aryeh Kaplan.
Yeah. So there's more recent ones, Aryeh Kaplan unfortunately passed away a long time ago, but there are many like very contemporary who really bring it out very clearly. And the avodah, the service that we need to do in our times, that we have in time of Galut especially, is to work on our midot, on our love of Hashem, our fear of Hashem, our perseverance, our gratitude, right? Our connections with each other, connections to ourselves, and bringing everything, all the kedusha, into our feelings, and then into our thought, speech, and deed. So that's a lot of work, because the ayetah in the time of Galut is to try to get us derailed. And Miriam is the one who does a lot of therapy for people, tries to get them to work on their midot and really go through each midah, when they get upset, when we get hurt, or when we get wrangled up. That's all the tikkun midot. So that's the concept of working on the sheva midot, which correspond to the 7 bad nations that were living in the land of Israel, that were very, very, very mean people, and the Jewish people had to eradicate that and take over and create a new system of living, which they did in the land of Israel. This is like over 3,000 years ago. So the three nations that were on the other side of the Jordan, that they didn't actually that we didn't have for many years, that as part of the land of Israel. But it says when the Mashiach comes, that will be part of the land of Israel. So those 3 nations correspond spiritually to the 3 intellectual properties. We have the 3 faculties of the intellect, which is chokhmah, bina, and dat, which is wisdom, understanding, and like more of an integrated. So please mute yourself. Whoever has their phone unmuted, I can mute you if you want, but I don't want to get distracted. So the Rebbe says something very amazing. During Galut, most of the work is on our midot, is on not getting frustrated, not getting worried, not getting upset, not getting angry, not getting all these things, right? That's our emotions. In times of Mashiach, what are we going to do mostly? That's going to be all fixed. We won't have all these distractions of our feelings getting to us. We'll straight be able to just sit and learn all day long. Learn Torah all day long. Sounds good. Because our feelings won't be derailing us, and we'll be able to focus on learning. And the learning will be connecting us to Hashem in a very high way, because when we're filling our brain with Hashem's wisdom, Hashem is filling us, and we're, like it says, our mind is surrounding, Hashem is integrated within us, we're submerged within Hashem, and we're one with Hashem. We feel our oneness with Hashem on a very high level. The wisdom of Hashem the Torah is one with Hashem. So we feel one with the Torah and one with Hashem when we're learning Torah. We could do that a little bit now, but in times of Mashiach, it will be on such a more wondrous, bigger revelation, higher levels of consciousness, and we'll just be ascending higher and higher in our consciousness of Hashem. So, but we a little bit of it we're doing now. Whatever we need to in order to control or fix our midot, our emotions, we're learning now already. We get a little bit of taste of it in Chassidut, but more and more we'll be getting in times of Mashiach, and that will be our whole focus in times of Mashiach. We'll just be able to do that, and everything we'll learn, by the way, we'll remember. It says. That's what it says. We won't forget. So in Tanya it also explains, the people who are spending time now, in times before the full revelation of Mashiach, the people who are learning Chassidut and Kabbalah now, it's called the Tree of Life. They will already have it when times of Mashiach come, and they'll just be ascending higher and higher. The people who haven't been learning it, they'll have to do some catch-up work. So there will be, levels of consciousness and learning. So the more we prepare ourselves through learning the inner dimensions of Torah now, the more we actually make it a reality within ourselves and within the world, and the more the world is ready for the revelations of Mashiach. So, okay, so here we go. So, and sometimes somebody can think, it seems a little esoteric. Sometimes Chassidut can be way out there, and it's maybe not for me, because it doesn't necessarily, we don't see the direct effect on our personal life. Sometimes I even feel that way. I say, okay, so I went to a wonderful class. What did I get from it? Maybe maybe it has nothing to do with my day-to-day reality. I'm still getting upset, So really, Chassidut has a power both to help us work within ourselves, and also it has an aura effect. it really does cleanse. It says it's metzachtzech the kilim. It kind of polishes our vessels. It polishes our soul from around and from within. It gives us an aura and a protection. It's because learning Torah is also a mitzvah. Mitzvah is like a garment and a protection, and it also is wisdom that it goes within us and it can refine us within. So when you look at, after a while, you look at yourself now after you learned Torah for many years, and you look at yourself how you were many years ago, right? Before you started learning Torah, there is a difference, right? You'll see within yourself. There's a refinement. There's a higher level of consciousness that you can definitely feel. You feel kedusha more. You feel, right, as you go higher and higher in learning, your neshama does shine within you more and more, as in more and more powerful. Because Chassidut is like food for the soul. It's like you're feeding it. You need to nourish it. So that's why we need to learn every day. For sure, men have an obligation to really, every spare moment they have, to be able to learn. Women don't have it as an obligation, but women want it. And because we feel, we know and we sense that this is our chayut, this is our life force, this is our nourishment. We like to feed people. We like to feed people physically and spiritually. This is our soul food. So stop me when it's 11. What time is it now? We still have 8 minutes. Okay, so let me do something from inside, from the Sicha. I'll read to you, and I'll just translate directly from the end of the Sicha, where he says what we should take from everything L'Pol to actuality. I remember when I first came to Chabad, I used to go to 770 and hear the Rabbi. I didn't understand Yiddish, but what I did understand was the Hebrew words, because I was raised in Israel. So what happened when I was listening in the Hebrew? All the Hebrew words that the Rebbe would say would stand out, because everything else was like, went above my head. So what did I hear a lot over and over and over was a ha'ma'asehu ha'ikar. The ma'asehu ha'ikar, the action is the main thing. The Rebbe would always bring that every farbring, and many times. The ma'asehu ha'ikar, the action is the main thing, because like what we said, we're learning Torah so we can bring Hashem into this physical world and reveal Hashem here within the physical, not to leave this world. So he says, what's the L'Pol? What's our instructions from everything of that the Rebbe said in the Sicha of Lech Lecha to actuality? On every Jew, he has the obligation to go out in learning Torah, to actually make chidushim in Torah. When he says Lech Lecha, means to go out in learning Torah, is to go out of your boundaries and constraints of seeing things just the way you heard and repeat it verbatim, like not just to learn by memory and repeat like a parrot. Our obligation is to think about it in such a way so deeply and integrate it with our life and our soul that we can actually have an insight in Torah, so that we can actually see how it relates to us, how it relates to other people, how it relates to the world. Something new. Come to a new idea. Take your own ideas. Try to think of an innovation in Torah. And that's what the Rebbe demanded. And this is not the only Sicha where the Rebbe asked it. In another place he explained this at length. And why and how in previous generations, not everybody was allowed to make chidushim in Torah, to come up with their own insights. But in our generation, when we're at the times of Mashiach, we're so connected on a soul level, and we already have the ability to connect to the light of Hashem that's revealed in times of Mashiach. We can actually make chidushim in Torah. We connect with our neshama to what we're learning. We have an obligation, the Rebbe says, to do this. Okay, so he says, even if a Jew learns lots of Torah, and he learns so much already, a Jew still has to add more in learning Torah until a way that he makes a chidush, something new, a new insight, a new understanding. Because the Torah is so broad, it's unlimited. The Torah is unlimited, right? And he quotes how it's very, very long. It's like the ocean, and it has no measure. Not only that, so the Torah is the wisdom of Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He. It's Hashem's chachmat, it's Hashem's wisdom. So anything that's in Torah has a power to give birth to new things. Okay, when I go to Rabbi Reuven Wolf's shul in La Brea, and we were learning a Mamar Chassidut, and he explained the difference between what a father gives a son and what a teacher teaches a student. So the teacher gives over a ray of light, an understanding, an insight, and then the person can take the insight and understand it even better and explain it over. A father, though, when he gives birth to a child, he's giving him part of his brain, right? It comes out through in the DNA. The brain of the father is within that child, so he can actually create. So that's where Hashem says we're children to Hashem. says, "Banim atem laHashem Elokechem." You are children. We are like the sons of Hashem. Hashem, so to speak, gave birth to our neshama. Our neshama is part of Hashem. So our neshama does have the power of Hashem to have an insight into the Torah, into the learning. It's not just that we repeat what we heard. We have an ability within to have insights, to give birth to new insights of Torah. That's what he says here. Okay, which is a mind-boggling thing. But the Rebbe wants us to be mind-boggled and go out of our box of our reality. Okay, so he says like this. I'm going to read to you some more inside. So here, since the Torah is the Chokhmah, the wisdom of Hashem, there is anything in Torah gives us power to give birth to new things, unlimited. We can give birth to new insights in an unlimited way. And we, in the Chiddush, in a way of going and making new Chiddush, and new Chiddush is something new, there's a few ways of doing it. You can go and make Chiddushim in a way that's actually very be'erich, like related to something from before. And you could go up in level, and you can go like learning Lech Lecha, going out to the land that I will show you. Lech Lecha is to go out of yourself, to go out of your previous mindset, that you shouldn't just go out and make a Chiddush, but it should really be going out in a way that's beyond what you were understanding or thinking or learning before. So a person has to go out of his habits, out of a situation that he was before. Let's say every day he did everything just exactly this way. This was his routine. This is your ability. This was my limits. This is what I do and my understanding. This is what I'm willing to accept. Rita actually went a lot beyond herself. She went and did everything, Chalav Yisrael and Pat Yisrael and everything. She worked really hard for today. So like, she didn't say, this is my, I'm already keeping kosher 100%. And my house is, she decided she's going to go even more, higher and better. So like, it's, we can always, with Torah, with Torah we could always do more and more, that we could always add. So a person can always go out of where they're used to, where their habits are, and go higher in Kedusha. And so this is also when in the insights of Torah, even if we did insights before, we can even go into a new way of thinking, beyond what we thought before, and go higher, in beyond the limits of what we thought we could actually comprehend in our mind or understand or innovate. And then we come to the place where we come to the land of Israel, and we reveal our own essence, our own abilities, our own hidden abilities. Kochot ne'elamim. We all have hidden powers that we're not. We always think this is who I am, but it's not true. There are parts of us that we don't know about that's hidden within us. That's what the Rebbe says. We can't limit ourselves and say, "This I know myself. This is who I've been for forever." The Rebbe says, "No. You have beyond. You have hidden powers, hidden abilities." So he says not just, and so to reveal insights that are not just insights that have to do with your everyday today fixing of your midot, but just even concepts that are just intellectual concepts. So they may not have anything to do with please mute yourself. Ladies, please mute yourself. Okay. But concepts that seem beyond. Let me just, I'll just mute them for a second. Hold on. Can you please mute yourself? I'll mute you, but I have to get to the... Hold on. I need Leah Pearl. Leah Pearl, when we did the bigger events, Leah Pearl is managing it behind the scenes. Cyril, is that you? It sounds like Cyril's voice.
I think if you press...
Where? Which one?
It should be...
Oh, there it is. Thank you. There it is. What? Yeah.
When I do it on my phone, it doesn't work. That would be the...
Participants. Here, I got it. Here we go. Rebecca.
Yeah.
It doesn't work when it's on the buzzer.
Mute all, mute all.
Mute all. No, but then it's gonna... It's okay, but then I'll unmute me. Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, it's all muted. Okay, thank you. Okay. So it's 11:01. So let me just wrap up over here. Yeah. That's much better. Thank you. Rachel. Okay, so according to what we said before, in our generation, it's the last generation of Galut and the first generation of Geula, the first generation of the times of Mashiach and the revelations of Mashiach. we have a special emphasis of going out from Lech Lecha, going out from your land to the land of Israel, and to bring it in a way that we put all ourselves. How does it reflect? How do we go out of ourselves? What are we supposed to do in actuality? To add in learning Torah, not just in the learning of Torah that has to do with fixing ourselves, but even just the concepts of Torah that are just intellectual pursuits of learning Torah, the wisdom of Hashem, that don't necessarily have anything to do with fixing. And this is done through learning the inner dimensions of Torah, and also the concepts of Geula and Mashiach, to learn about the times of Mashiach and Geula. And the Rebbe says, through doing this, we will actually go and be able to come to the land of Israel, inherit the land, and we'll be able to, and it will be done all in a way of peace and tranquility, that all the nations of the world will accept it, that we'll be in our land, and that we'll have this peace. And by the way, and the Hashem will be revealed in the whole world. By the way, I just heard there actually Morocco and Jordan, and they came to the White House. I don't know why it's not on all the news. And they sent representatives. They also want to join the Abraham Accords. There's I think three more countries. Did you heard it? I went actually on the State Department website, and yeah, it's amazing. So even now with the type of situation that we're in the world, there's still more countries coming on board and wanting to join the Abraham Accords. So that's part of the process of the Abraham Accords, where they're making peace with Israel, with no conditions, without Israel having to give land or anything. They just want to be on good terms, good relations, open business, open transportation, open these things. Yeah, I don't know why it's not all over the world, the news. It's like I have chills from this, because it's been a struggle for many years to get anything like this happening, and now the nations of the world want it, and that's what the Rebbe said. It's going to happen in a way of peace, Darkei Shalom, from the side of the nations, that they're going to want the peace with Israel, and we'll be able to have be in our land in peace, and Mashiach will be revealed, and we'll be able to all learn Torah in a complete way, totally immersed in learning of Torah. So that's the Sikha.
Yehudit, there is a glitch on the Zoom.
Yeah, they don't hear me now. I'm unmuted. What's the glitch? There's participants.
Ask maybe the participants if they could hear you. Maybe
Okay.
it's just her. Ask people to chat, like asking you all here.
Okay, let me see the chat.
I'm gonna grab it.
Okay, we're
It
gonna have
could be
Rivka.
because of the Wi-Fi. I had issues. Yeah, she said she doesn't hear anything. But
Okay. Okay, we're gonna now go move
it says
to
it goes and
Rivka.
comes. Maybe
Oh,
ask
really?
others.
I don't know. It doesn't show that here.
Okay.
Maybe it's her internet. Okay, we're gonna have Rivka. Rachel, I'm sorry. Right here it says Rebecca, so I was like looking at Rebecca. So I was like, I don't know. Okay, so here's Rachel Udkoff, who Baruch Hashem, oh my mom, she had the best birthday party, whoever didn't come instead. She's what can I say? You design mikvahs. Rachel designs mikvahs. She designs jewelry and pieces of art that are all based on Kabbalah. The mikvahs that she designs are real mikvahs, and there's an opening of a mikvah in
Newfoundland in Canada.
Newfoundland, Canada, very soon, in like a few weeks.
That's not the show. We're working on the final permissions from the last.
Yeah. What do you want this? Yeah. Sure. So we're just here with her mother. I mean, Rachel. Sorry. Oh, because your mother's here.
Yes,
That's why.
my mother. Yeah.
It is something special.
Oh, thank you so much.
So Rachel's mother is Rivka.
Yes. She's here, my mother.
So I've seen
Thank you.
Dr. Rachel Udkoff.
My purse, yeah.
She's a gynecologist, and she's here smiling face to face. Full face. Because she has so much nachas from this beautiful girl.
Oh, mashallah.
Yes.
Baruch Hashem, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Yes, yes. Welcome. And they slept all the way from Westlake, so thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And they have a Abshenish or something, a birthday party or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But they slept anyway. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us.
Hashem. Wow, thank you for having me. This is honestly such an honor. I mean, these amazing, amazing women. I mean, I don't even know why I'm here, but...
Oh my God. We all know.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so we just came from the month of Tishrei, right? This month was completely saturated with so much holiness. We had learning, we had celebrating, we were eating, we were connecting to Hashem, we were connecting to each other. We literally had that Mashiach mindset, what Yehudit was just speaking about, how it's going to be learning every day. We had that during the entire month of Tishrei. The entire month of Tishrei was completely saturated with all this joy. And then at the end of the month of Tishrei, we have Shabbat Bereshit, where we start the Torah over. We're ready for this new beginning. We're going. We're pushing forward. And we have so much inspiration and light and just so much godliness in our hearts and connection between us. And then we start the month of Cheshvan. Mar Cheshvan. The bitterness of the month of Cheshvan. It's like we come from such a high of the beautiful holidays, the light, everything, the joy. And then we go into this Mar Cheshvan. And what's the first parsha in Mar Cheshvan? Noach. We have destruction. We have flood. We go into all of this. And it's like, how are we going from such a beautiful and pure connection to Hashem to this Mar Cheshvan, to this bitter month of Cheshvan? But really, when we go into the bitter month of Cheshvan, bitter, it is called the bitter month of Cheshvan because there are no holidays in the month of Cheshvan. So that's why it's called bitter. But really, Hashem is like, the month of Tishrei is the completely revealed light of Hashem. Hashem gives us a glimpse of his true essence, and then for a moment he takes it away, and he says, now you have that light within you. Now it's time to integrate that within every single thing of your quote-unquote mundane life. Hashem has given us the power. So we have the Parshas Noach that we just finished, right? It has the flood, it has the desperation, everything. And then what do we end with? We end it with the olive branch. The dove goes out of the ark and comes with the olive branch. The olive branch is the symbol of hope. It's what we're able to take with us. It's all of the beauty of what the world was and what we're bringing through to this next month. Mm-hmm. Now, that actual olive branch, I just heard the most amazing... Does anybody know what happened to the olive branch after Noah? I just heard the most amazing words on it. It was just so beautiful. They were saying that the olive branch was actually passed on from Noach to Shem. And Shem squeezed the olives, made olive oil out of it, and put his seal on this jug of olive oil. Then, when Yaakov went to go study at the yeshiva of Shem and Ever in Tzfat, the holiest city, Shem gave him this gift of the olive oil from this olive branch, which is the sign of hope. So Yaakov
Shem was alive until that time?
Yeah. Yeah. It was at the...
Okay.
Yeah. So he gives Yaakov this precious oil. Yaakov takes the oil and it passes down and actually Yaakov takes the oil, and in a few parshas it says that Yaakov goes back to retrieve jugs, to retrieve some vessels that we don't really know what it is. It's kind of, okay, yeah, he goes back to go retrieve something. It's the specific jug of olive oil that Yaakov goes back to return to make sure to get this jug of olive oil, which is this jug of hope and peace and knowledge that there is a continuation of life and continuation. Mm-hmm. So he goes back and he gets this jug of olive oil, and then he passes it down generations, and he passes down generations until it reaches the Beis HaMikdash. Now, the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. And what happened with the Beis HaMikdash? The entire thing was destroyed, and every single jug of olive oil that they had was completely broken except for one that remained with the seal of Shem. And that one jug of olive oil was what they used to have the entire miracle of Hanukkah,
Oh.
of the light of Hanukkah.
It said the Kohen Gadol was on it. Was that?
So yeah, so it was
That's
Shem
what
was
it
the
was
Kohen
like.
Gadol of it. He was like that that stature of that time. So it was Shem was the Kohen Gadol. So it still had that seal, and the Kohen Gadol also of that time, you know,
Maybe
obviously
endorsed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
endorsed it, and yeah,
2 ashes.
2 extras exactly. We need to be extra kosher, everybody. Baruch Hashem. So that jug of olive oil is the hope. So that is what we're taking into this month of bitter month of Cheshvan. We're taking that hope with us and that light from Tishrei. Bless you. And that light from Tishrei. Now, what is Cheshvan? There's many things. Every month has attributes of it. Cheshvan is connected to the letter Nun. There's a letter of the month, a tribe of the month, a sense of the month, a permutation of Yud Kei Vav Kei, of Hashem's name of the month, the Mazalot, an angel of the month. So the month of Cheshvan is connected to the letter Nun. First of all, what is the letter Nun? The letter Nun is 50, right? And 50 is that 50th level. We have, right, when we think of the Sfirat Omer, we go through the 49 days, the 7 times 7, the Sfirot, what Yehudit was explaining. We go through these emotional trials and tribulations, and we work on ourselves emotionally and for 49 days. And then when we reach the 50th day, that's transcendence. That's Shavuot. That's when Hashem gives us this beautiful gift of infinitude, that we're able to actually connect to Hashem in that higher purpose, in that higher way, in that Nun state. So Nun is 50. But then Nun also is a double letter. It has a regular version, but then it also elongates and goes down, the final Nun. So what is the final Nun? In this year, in this world that we're living in, that final Nun, all the final letters are going into the depths. But all of the final letters actually correspond to Mashiach. Because in the times of Mashiach, that letter will stand up straight, bring down Hashem's energy and beauty into this world, into the depth of this world, and it'll be just the same as if it's on high. It's that straight path. That's what the Nun is. It's that connection directly from Hashem, that light, that Keter. It's bringing it completely into the Malchus, into the humanity of this world, of this lowly world. And that's our job in Cheshvan, is to make our mundane the reality of holiness, of what it truly is. And it's all within the hidden meanings. Cheshvan has all these hidden things within it. We have to try to find within our daily lives. That's our goal. It's like Hashem gave us the inspiration. He said, now you go and find it yourself. Within this month of Cheshvan, Cheshvan is actually a month connected to Mashiach because, first of all, the Nun. Second of all, it is, actually, I brought a little something that I want to hand out. This is lavender that I picked in Sfat. And while I pass it, here, I'll pass it around, and we could go that way. Amen. But I want to, if anybody just take a little bit, so we could say the bracha together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we could say the bracha together, but take 1 or 2 pieces on your palm, and then we'll all say, and then pass it around, and then we'll all say the bracha together. So yeah, you can, sorry.
I don't know if it'll come out.
If you could shake it from the, like, just upside down, kind of.
You go first.
Maybe I could put it in a.
Oh, here I go. Okay, you know what?
Yeah, so you could just kind of shake it. It'll come out.
Nun means Sha'ari Bina.
Yeah, it's a bit
Sorry,
hard.
Bina. Yes.
That's why it's very important.
You're able to connect to that. Exactly. That's such a beautiful point.
Did you have anything?
Yes, it came out.
It's all you need is 1 or 2 pieces. It's not, so whatever, you can just shake it out and see. So this that I passed around is lavender that I picked in Tzfat. Tzfat is the city of air. This lavender creates a scent and creates a connection to Tzfat through air because lavender grows off of the air. That's what the plant is. So this is literally a little bottle of Tzfat we're handing around. So when we go around, we'll say the bracha with everybody. And can anybody guess why I'm passing around a scent right now? Anybody guess? This is bringing a scent.
The myrrh. No, the myrrh.
The myrrh, yes, that's also connected to Bina.
Is the talents of the month smell? Yeah.
The sense of the month. Yes. Exactly. Yes, it's connected to our neshama, neshima. So the sense of the month of Cheshvan, each of the months has a different sense. The sense of the month of Cheshvan is scent, is smell.
Okay.
So through smell, we are actually able to achieve higher connection to Hashem, especially revealed within this month. Scent is also the only sense that was not tainted by the Eitz Hadas, by Chava. It says she saw the tree, she tasted the tree, she touched the tree. Well, she touched and then he tasted. But it's the only scent that has not been tainted by the sense of smell. So when you smell something, you're able to tap directly into your neshama, into your core, into the deepest core of your soul. And Baruch Hashem. And Reach is also connected to Ruach, and that level of the soul that we're actually connecting to is the Ruach level of the soul.
So it says when Mashiach comes, he'll be able to judge through the smell.
Yes, exactly. You'll be able to, all the judgments will actually come through smell.
Especially today is Eliyahu Hanavi Day. It's Sunday.
Exactly. Oh, wow.
Yes, every Saturday night we smell.
Yeah, we have the smell. We bring in the smell of Shabbos, and that's why. Yeah, it's to prolong this godliness of Shabbos.
Today is very good. Together.
Yes, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. So we're going to be getting this. So we're going to, once everybody has it, I'll say it together with everybody. And also Hashem gets pleasure from scent, from smell. Hashem gets pleasure, the reach nichoach. That in the Holy of Holies, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that's what the Kohen Gadol did. He created a beautiful scent for Hashem. So now when I get a little bit of this, we could say, if you mush it in between your fingers, it'll release the scent a little bit. Does everybody have
Whoever's on Zoom, Facebook, you can get your own.
You can get your own.
It doesn't have to be from the spot.
It doesn't. She doesn't have it. She just. Oh.
Welcome to everybody who just came.
Yay. Welcome.
And welcome to everybody on Zoom, and welcome to everybody on Facebook. And welcome everybody. Welcome to everybody on Zoom, Facebook. We're making a blessing on an herb, anything that smells good. It doesn't have to be lavender if you have something.
Yeah. It could be clothes, whatever you use for
besamim.
For besamim, yes. But this is actually going to be a different bracha, a different blessing than we're normally used to for Havdalah. Because Havdalah is borei minei besamim. It's all the types of besamim. It could be anything. This is actually a specific bracha for specific things. So there's different types of brachas for different scents. One is borei minei besamim. One is borei atzvei besamim. Isvei, Ken. Isvei besamim, which is for plants and herbs. And then this one, actually, lavender, is actually an atzei besamim because it has bark like a tree. Like the actual roots of it, like what it grows from, is like barks from a tree. So lavender and rosemary are both atzei besamim. Also rosemary, yes. Because from, yes. Yes. Okay, so is everybody from Eretz Yisrael, from Tzfat? And Tzfat also is it shows the hidden meaning. So within this month of Cheshvan, we should be able to be enlightened to find the hidden meanings and to find the hidden light and the hidden connection of Hashem within our truest and deepest souls, and revealed in our most chitzonia soul, in our most outward realm of space that will
all look beautiful. In other words, we'll all look very gorgeous.
Well, in all the ways we should be able to take in the light and blessing of Hashem.
Yes.
All right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei atzei v'samim.
Amen.
Amen.
That's wonderful.
And like I said, you only need a few pieces. Only one or two pieces releases such a beautiful scent.
I have just one and very good smelling. 11, what was? 11 in the...
Oh, 11 is the Ketaret, yeah.
Ketoret.
Yeah, this is like the Ketaret. And lavender is one of the scents in the Ketara as well.
Because it is first time.
Wow.
این بچه کیه؟ این عدن این خدا گفت اصلا عدن که دنیا میده
Okay, I only have 10 more minutes.
Right, we have a tight schedule because we have like every speaker half an hour, 30 minutes.
It's like, I can't stop smelling. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so the tribe of the month. Every month has a tribe, right? 12 months, 12 tribes. So the tribe of the month connected to Cheshvan is Menashe. And Menashe, if you arrange the letters, it's Neshama or Neshima, which is breath, which is also connecting to the sense of scent.
Neshima means to breathe.
Neshima is to breathe.
Oh.
Neshima.
Neshama is our soul, and Neshima is to breathe. So to breathe in that light and scent, and to bring that holy, untainted power that did not even get any destruction from the Eis Hadas, to bring that into our mundane lives in this Mar Cheshvan, to be able to bring that scent and that light within the rest of our life, our world, our year, and to bring that power and inspiration. We should all be able to have that inspiration within our lives, prevalent and revealed. So, Neshama is also Moshe plus the letter Nun, right? So Moshe, it actually brings down by the Arizal and other sources that Moshe was actually a reincarnation from Noach. Noach had the floodwaters. He went and he saved his own life, but he wasn't able to save the congregation, the whole community. That's what his own entire purpose was. That's why it took him 120 years to build the ark, because he was meant to save the entire community. But when the times of Moshe came, Moshe was a reincarnation of Noach, and he was able to, even when when it came down to it, Hashem said, I'm going to destroy the nation. Moshe said, no, erase me, macheni na, erase me from your book, as opposed to destroying the nation. So that was that self-sacrifice that turned over Noach's his deed of having to bring the entire nation. That was Noach's Moshe's rectification of it. Noach built an ark out of gopher wood that was lined with pitch. Moshe was saved in a basket that was built out of gopher wood and lined with pitch. There's many, many, many correlations and connections to Moshe and Noach. But Moshe, he wasn't able to achieve this nun. He was not able to achieve this 40th level, this 50th level while he was alive. It says that he reached the 49th level. But when he died, when he passed away, he was able to achieve that nun. How do we know? He was buried on Har Navo. Nun Bo. Nun, the letter Nun, come. So Moshe was buried on Har Navo. That means that he finally achieved that 50th level. And that 50th level is what we're going to achieve in the times of Mashiach, when that Nun stands straight up and we're able to connect to that final essence of and divine revelation of Hashem. One more thing about the nun is Moshe couldn't, before he passed away, he couldn't enter the land of Eretz Yisrael, right? But who did? Who brought the Bnei Yisrael into Eretz Yisrael? Yoshua ben Nun. Yoshua ben Nun.
Oh.
Baruch Hashem. So, in the month of Cheshvan, and also it says that with the tribes of Menashe, so the Beis Hamikdash was finished being built in the month of Cheshvan, but it was actually not inaugurated until the next year in Tishrei, right? I think it was, yes.
7th month.
Yeah, Tishrei, yeah, 7th month. So it was actually, and
Seven always is heaven.
7, exactly. But then 8 is transcendent, and Cheshvan is the 8th month, which is also connected to that transcendent energy of Nun, of 50.
Yeah.
So,
Tell us also about Rachel Imenu connected to Cheshvan, right?
oh, yes.
Rachel Imenu?
Rachel Imenu's yard site is Yud Aleph Cheshvan. Yeah, so we're able to actually Baruch Hashem, and the name Rachel is the same gematria as Vayhi, or let there be light.
That's why we say Anenu, Anenu, B'zchut Rachel Imenu.
Evita, is your name Rachel?
My
Your name is Rachel.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
that's
it.
all the Rachel.
Me also. I added.
You
It
also.
looks like a Rachel.
My name is
Yeah.
Mary, but someday we added Rachel.
Wow.
And before I saw I should be the Rachel.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so we went from the month of Tishrei, it was all active in all these mitzvahs, everything, and then now I feel like we have more of a sense of how to bring that into, that light, into the month of Cheshvan. And it was actually today's Hayom Yom that, just like Yehudit was saying, how do we bring this in? How do we bring this godliness in? It's by connecting through Torah study and learning and davening and praying and connecting to Hashem through the ways that Hashem has already told us to do it. So what we're doing today is actually fulfilling today's Hayom Yom. Today's Hayom Yom was saying that if you learn Torah, the study and learning of Torah is so incredibly important that it fills your life and your home with Torah study and light from Hashem. So that's what you're doing. So thank you so much for creating this beautiful atmosphere of Torah study and light into your home, and you should completely...
Thank you for teaching us, Rachel.
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
כל הכבוד.
And the one thing, sorry, I have like so much. It's just the last. Okay, so the last thing about the month of Cheshvan and the Parshiot. So we ended Tishrei with Bereshit, right? In the beginning. Then the next one is Noach, which is the beginning of the month of Cheshvan. So actually, the answer to every single problem in this world and in everybody's lives is actually prevalent within the first 4 parshios of the Torah. The names of the first 4 parshios of the Torah. How? If anything difficult happens to you, if anything goes wrong, you have this first reaction that you're about to react. But before that, in the beginning, Bereshit, in the beginning, Noach, calm yourself, relax, remove yourself from that situation. Lech lecha. Go into yourself. Lech is go, lecha is to you. Go into yourself. And also with lech lecha, it says lech lecha me'artzecha me'moladecha me'beis avicha. Me'artzecha is your land, which is connected to your desires, which is ratzoi, your ratzon. Me'moladecha is your habits. Me'moladecha is your birthplace, is where you're born, what your habits are, what comes from your home, what you grew up with. Mebeis avicha is your father's home, which is your intellect, which is some of what Yehudit was saying. So lech lecha, really go into yourself, remove yourself from your desires, your habits, and your intellect. Completely remove yourself from this situation. And what's the next parsha? After lech lecha. Vayera, and you will see. You will see. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
The same numerical value. Let there be light.
Right. Yeah, Rachel is 238, which is the same gematria as Vayhi, or let there be light. So we should be able to see this light through the power of Rachel Imenu's yard site and every inspiration that we've received through Tishrei and beyond. Because that's just the beginning. We started with Parshas Bereshit. We finished the entire Tishrei, and then we start with Parshas Bereshit after all of the holidays, and Hashem says, now here's the beautiful world. Take it and do the most glorious, wonderful things and bring these into your everyday life.
Amen, amen. So wait, so the maidservant of Rachel was Bilhah?
Bilhah, yeah.
Okay. So Bilhah, there's a Bilhah in Israel who's in the Supreme Court in Israel.
Really?
And on Friday I saw on the news, she ruled a judgment that has been a bone of contention within in Israel for quite a few years. She ruled that it's okay for Jews to pray on the Temple Mount. Yeah, there was an incident where somebody would go there every day and pray silently.
But silently.
Silently, and he was taken to court because the Arabs didn't want him to be able to pray there at all and silently, and she ruled it's not against the law, which is something that in the past, whenever things like this have been ruled, the Arabs would go crazy and start writing and this and that. But this was the first time a ruling like this was very clear. Till now, it was just people.
She's Jewish, right?
Bilha's Jewish.
Bilha,
Yeah,
Bilha's also
she's the
Jewish.
maidservant of Rachel Imenu. Made a court ruling, and that she's not necessarily religious. It's in the secular court in Israel. That's a big deal. Yeah, it's a very big deal. So our next speaker is, welcome everybody who just joined us, welcome. We have some beautiful girls here. I'd love to get to know you all. But we have Miriam Yerushalmi, our next speaker. Sorry.
Geula.
Geula Newman's here. Thank you, Rabbi Newman.
I'll move there. She can come here and we'll listen.
Okay. So Geula Newman is the Rebbetzin of Chabad of Beverlywood, and throughout Corona they had Kiddushes every Shabbos, which she hosted. For who knows how many people.
All the things that it shows.
Yes. So here she is, this beautiful mother of many children, big community, and she took up her time to come join us here. Thank you. What?
Oh yeah, there's three now. Yours? Okay. Oh, she took her. Sorry. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
That's fine.
Actually, there's a cup. There's a cup right here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvarav.
Did you just literally walk in? Because you could take
It's okay.
We're all here comfortable. We had breakfast.
So, around 200 years ago, there was a terrible decree in Russia by the Tsar, and that was the decree of the Cantonese, where he had this whole idea and plan, like a double-edged type of sword, where on one hand, he decided this is one way that they're going to finally get rid of Jewish education and get rid of the next generation, God forbid, of religious Jews, and bring another force into their army. So what was their plan? To kidnap Jewish children and enlist a certain quota of young religious Jewish children to join the ranks of the Russian army when they were very young, to join almost as young sometimes as 5 or 6 years old, to join the ranks first with years of training and special schools, and then they would join the army. And it was a very big tragedy. These families who were constantly in fear of their little boys being taken away, and they had these spies and these kidnappers, they were called choppers, that would come, and they gave them a lot of money to go into the communities and to take them and to take these little boys when they were still so young and really babies. So the Tzemach Tzedek worked tirelessly to avert this decree and to ransom the children who were kidnapped, and his efforts, Baruch Hashem, bore fruit. Now, at one point, there were a group of 150, I believe it was, Cantonists, who heard that the Tzemach Tzedek was traveling and in the next town. And they begged their superior, please, can he speak to us? And the Tzemach Tzedek came and he inspired them, and he spoke in simple terms. And these are young boys who grew up in religious homes, learning the Aleph Beis, learning how to daven, to say the brachas, but then they were snatched from their families at such a young age that they didn't have any more than that as part of an education and upbringing, and they were also very bitter. And it was hard for them, but they had such a strong emunah. And it was an amazing gathering. The Rebbe spoke to them and he encouraged them. And they begged for the Rebbe to come back again. The next time, there were double the amount of them. After this time, the government did not allow. They sent the Tzemach Tzedek home because they saw how inspired these boys, these soldiers were. And they were, some of them refusing to eat not kosher food anymore. There's another story where the Tsar himself came and he saw who are these amazing soldiers, this group of soldiers that were so strong and committed to the army. When he found out that they were Jewish, he was so upset, and he said, "You must convert." And they had just been inspired by the Tzemach Tzedek, and actually it's very sad but very special that they all together gave up their lives instead of converting. So, but what I want to speak about is that the Tzemach Tzedek, what he told them the second time around was he was answering their request. They said to him, we polished our buttons and beautified our uniforms because we were preparing for the special guest, the Rebbe, the leader of the generation, to come and speak to us. And they said, now please, can you please polish us, polish our neshamot? Because we've been in such a horrible environment all these years. Please polish our neshamas. So what did the Tzemach Tzedek said? He said, how did you polish your buttons? He said, you used water and sand to sand them down and wash it off. He said, what you're going to do to polish your neshamas is the words of Tehillim that you know, because they remembered how to read, a lot of them. And saying it with tears, you're going to polish your neshamas. So one of the soldiers got up and he said, but Rebbe, when we go out to war, when we go out to fight, we don't go with tears, we sing a victory march. So the Tzemach Tzedek said, you're 100% right. You need to do all of your mitzvot and your tehillim and your Torah needs to be with a victory march, with joy. And the Rebbe pointed out that it was from this one comment of this one Cantonese simple Jew who was snatched from his family at a very young age, who didn't live in an observant manner all these years necessarily. This one comment actually turned over the path of avoda of all the subsequent rabbeim after the Tzemach Tzedek. The leaders of the generation were inspired by this simple Jew who said, we go out with a victory march. We have simcha. So really, that's the idea of what we're all here, our mission. We all Jewish women living any moment. We're going to hear the shofar blow, and Mashiach will be here. And how are we doing, how are we accomplishing, each of us in our own lives, our own steps that we're taking, whether in our thoughts, in our speech, in our action? How are we going to forge ahead? We just came from the Chagim, and we're on a high, inspired. Now we're back to the daily grind. How are we going to forge ahead in our little decisions, always consciously knowing, whatever I do, I am actually capable of turning the world over and bringing Mashiach? We have to always have in the back of our mind playing a victory march with joy and with simcha. That's the way that we're going to accomplish this incredible, incredible responsibility that is placed upon us. So tomorrow night is a very special night on the calendar. I don't know if anyone spoke about Zion Cheshvan.
Not yet.
Okay. So it's its anniversary? Wow, that's so special. Wow, so Zion Cheshvan, the 7th day of Cheshvan, is a very special day on the calendar, tomorrow night. And what was, according to halacha, what's the event? We know there's no holidays this month, right? It's a month empty of holidays. We came from a month full of holidays. It's the day that in Eretz Yisrael, in the prayers, we switch over from V'tein Bracha to V'tein Tal U'matu L'Bracha, and I'll explain. In the Shmona Esrei prayer, in the beginning, we have two different descriptions of Hashem's glory in terms of the weather. One is Morid Hatal, Hashem, you are the one who lets the dew fall. And the other description is Mashiv Haruach Umarat HaGeshem. You bring the wind and let the rain fall. Now, on Shmini Atzeret, during the month of Tishrei, we already switched over that we are praising Hashem for being the one who lets the rain fall. And we say that Tfilat Geshem is a very beautiful tefillah, Hashem brings the rain. But we're not directly asking for rain. We're just praising Hashem because He brings rain. The actual request for rain, the bracha that we're asking Hashem for rain, is later on in the daily prayers, where it starts Barech Aleinu, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem please bless us, Es Hashana Hazot, bless this year. And we go on and we say, if it's in the winter months, we say, V'sein Talum Matel Uvracha, please give us rain and dew for a blessing. And if it is in the summer months, we don't say give us rain. We're not asking for rain in the summer. So in Eretz Yisrael, the day that this prayer switches over to start actually requesting Hashem, please send us rain, is on Zayin Cheshvan. So that's nice. It's like in the prayers. Sometimes you say this, sometimes you say that. What's so special about changing over? You know, you're asking for this, you're asking for that. But actually, there's some very, very deep messages that are infused this day with an incredible, incredible energy. And we have to be aware of it so we can grab hold of that energy and really use it to forge ahead and strengthen ourselves. So we have two lessons that I want to bring out. There are many more that we can speak about from this prayer. Let's just see. מינה, תגידי היי, הבנות שלי.
I miss you.
No, it's not two. I'm going to send to them. No, nearer. So, first of all, we'll start with a question. Why are we waiting until the 7th day of Cheshvan to start asking Hashem for rain? Right? Already in the time of Sukkot, we already need the rain. That's when the fields are like ripe for the rain to come. We just, right? We had Chag HaAsif, Sukkot, we already brought all the produce into our homes, and now we're ready for the new crop. So really the rain, why aren't we asking for it on Sukkot? Why aren't we asking for it on Shmini Atzeret? Why are we waiting? So the answer is that the Jewish people have a mitzvah to be Ola L'Regel. We have a mitzvah to go visit Yerushalayim 3 times a year. When they were living in Eretz Yisrael and the Beis HaMikdash stood there, it was Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuot, that there was an obligation. Everybody, leave your homes, take your families with you, and come to the Beis HaMikdash to celebrate. It says you should be seen by Hashem. It's a mitzvah to go to the Beis HaMikdash. So they calculated, after the holidays are over, it takes time for everybody to get home, right? From Yerushalayim till the furthest place in Eretz Yisrael. The longest distance it would take, where they would arrive home on Zayin Cheshvan. So even though they really did need the rain earlier at the time of Shmini Atzeret, they're going to wait until the last Jew got home. And why? So he won't be inconvenienced and have to travel when it's raining. So even though they needed it and it was really time was ripe for the rain, they said, you know, we're going to wait. And this was important for a farmer on his agenda. He needs to start already growing. This is his parnasa. This is a necessity. The rain is really a necessity. For someone who gets stuck in the rain, that's an inconvenience. It's not really 100% a necessity that you have to travel with no rain. Right? Everyone ends up having to travel sometimes with rain. But they said, we're not going to ask Hashem for rain until I know that every one of my Jewish brothers and sisters is comfortable in their home and they're also going to get the rain then. So that's number one. Number two, so that's a complete obvious straw, which we'll explain a little further. Number two is, you know, first thing I can say, I'm asking Hashem for something. How much do we just truly believe every time we ask Hashem for something? It's like, right away, it's going to be in front of our eyes. Right? We say, oh, I'm going to ask for Bezrat Hashem, Yehi Ratzon. But there's a certain faith that really we each have inside of each one of us that truly believes that as soon as every time you ask Hashem, right away Hashem listens, right away Hashem answers. You know, when my girls were younger, now they're older, but when I only had 2 little girls, and no boys yet. They every time we would light the candles for Shabbat, I said, you can ask Hashem for anything you want. So children are very simple, and they know you ask, and that means Hashem's going to give you. So they were davening and davening. They decided together they're going to ask for a baby boy. So Baruch Hashem, our next child, we had a boy. So they really said, you see, it works. You ask, and it happens. So then after, when I was expecting my next child, Baruch Hashem, my friends, my sisters, people in the community came to me and said, wow, you're really having twins? It's like, no, I didn't know I'm having twins. So, oh, your girls told us you're having twins. So I was like, what's this about? And they said, well, we decided we're going to ask Hashem for twins this time. Because it works, you ask Hashem for a boy. And then they said, now, they were so sure, they were already telling everybody that I'm having twins because every time they lit the candles, they were asking Hashem for twins, right? But that's a simple faith that really each one of us has. In the Navi it says, "V'haya terem yikra'u v'ani e'ene, aytei medabrim v'ani eshma." Hashem promises, it will be that when they're in the middle of calling out to me, I'm already answering. They're in the middle of speaking. They didn't even finish their sentence. V'ani en, I'm already answering. I'm already there. That's the type of faith that is pointed out with Zayin Cheshvan. Because they could have said, well, we don't want our friends to be inconvenienced, but let's start asking now on Sukkot. By the time Hashem answers us, they'll be home. No. They didn't ask until the day that they wanted it. Because it's highlighting that belief that as soon as we ask, Hashem is listening, He answers, and He's going to give us the rain. So we have, on one hand, we have Avos Yisrael, that we're having sacrifice. We're sacrificing our needs for someone else's inconvenience. That's a very high level. But that's the level that actually makes a vessel for the next lesson, for the part that when we do ask Hashem for something, He'll respond like He promised immediately. So the Rebbe spoke about this, and he actually gave us a very specific instruction of what we should do on this day to anchor this incredible energy. The Rebbe said we have to combine the Emunah and the Avos Yisrael into one practical deed. What is that? The Rebbe said every Jew on Zayin Cheshvan should decide and make a pledge and say, Hashem, by next Zayin Cheshvan, I am going to give this and this amount of money to tzedakah. That's Avos Yisrael. But with Mesiras Nefesh, the Rebbe said, say an amount that you don't even think, at this past year you wouldn't even be able to give that amount. More than you think you could give. Why? Because when you do your part, like the Jews did, of taking something that's a necessity for you, your money that you don't think really you have that amount to give away, and you're pledging you're going to give it by next Zayin Cheshvan, what's Hashem going to respond? Hashem's going to make sure that you're answered right away, and you're blessed with an abundance of parnasa enough to fulfill your pledge by the next year. So we have the Ahavat Yisrael and the Emunah combined. You know, my dear mother, she should have her for Shlema, Adomer and Baspel Malaya. She would send an email to the whole family every Zayin Cheshvan saying, today's the day, everybody stop whatever you're doing. And she would say, write a letter to the Rebbe asking for bracha. Write everything that you want. As if it's like, nowadays with Instacart or Amazon Fresh, it's like just click it and it's at your doorstep within an hour, right? Put everything you want because Odhe medabrim va'ani e'enet. Va'ani eshma. Terem yikra va'ani e'enet. Odhe medabrim va'ani eshma. Write down everything. Don't leave anything out. And make sure that you put a pledge for an amount of money that even is more than you really could handle right now. And you're going to pay by next Zayin Cheshvan, and she would give all her brachot. And Hashem should bless you that everything you put down, and even what you don't remember to put down. So that is tomorrow night. Monday night and Tuesday is Zayin Cheshvan.
Don't forget to ask for the Geula if it's not here by then.
Of course. By then, for sure, we'll already be asking for rain in the Beis Hamikdash. Definitely. You know, another halacha that points out to the immediate way that Mashiach's going to come. Actually, I think we mentioned it when we had our Tu B'Av class here, but it's worth mentioning again, that there's a halacha that a Kohen, not a halacha, sorry, there's an opinion, but we don't go by that opinion in the end, but there's an opinion in halacha, and the Rebbe says even if there's an opinion in halacha, even if we don't go by it, it's Torah, and we have to learn a lesson from it. So one opinion that says a Kohen should never drink more than a revi'it of wine, you know, like a small cup like we make Kiddush on, I think it's 3.5 ounces, I don't remember exactly how many ounces is it. He should never drink that amount of wine, ever. Why? Because in the Beis HaMikdash, a Kohen cannot be under the influence of wine. If he drinks a revi'it of wine, he has to wait 18 minutes till it wears off, and then he can work in the Beis HaMikdash. Okay? So what's this opinion? The opinion says, any minute, any second, Mashiach's going to come, and the Kohen has to be ready to work. So even though we don't go by that opinion in the end, a Kohen is allowed to drink wine, and we believe that not all the Kohanim are going to be drunk at the same time. So we'll have what to start with for 18 minutes. But the Rebbe says this shows on how quick Hashem is going to answer us now when we ask for Mashiach. That not only is like, oh, we're going to hear the shofar, and then we're going to go to the Beis HaMikdash. How long is this process going to take till we're actually going to be united in the Beis HaMikdash, serving Hashem with joy, with the world of the Geula? It will take less than 18 minutes from the moment we hear the shofar till it's up and running and the Kohanim working is less than 18 minutes. That's why we even have an opinion in halacha that they shouldn't drink revi'os of wine. So definitely, when we write our letters, we're saying we want Mashiach in a way like before I even finish asking, before we even finish this class, it's going to happen in a way that is so quick. You know, we have to learn from everything in this world that happens in our lives and take a lesson. Right? So what have we all been through? Changes in the world that instantaneously, the entire world completely changed from one extreme to the next, right? Whether with the lockdown or with what we've seen with so many things that everything was so established, so used to it. It was just so part of the routine. All of a sudden, there are no airplanes going. Like, what? Would you ever imagine a time like that? Or everything shut down, around the entire world at once. Happening so quickly. Hashem is showing us, look what is capable of happening. Changes in such a quick way. And so how do we facilitate that? Is each one of us is like a miniature Beis HaMikdash. Inside of us is the Kodesh HaKodashim. Inside of us, our neshama. If we each, on our own, live as if Mashiach is here already, that's how we bring about that change. And what does that mean? It means, am I at this moment, what I'm thinking about, if my thoughts are positive, if they're holy, if they're about helping others, godly, that's what I'm going to be thinking about when Mashiach comes. And if there's a thought of self-doubt or worry or, being down or anger or resentment, well, I have this thought when Mashiach comes. If I know that that's not a thought that's going to be entertained when Mashiach comes, I quickly say, I'm living as if he's here. Let me just focus on something else. And we never know. Rambam says we have to believe that even one deed, one change is going to turn the whole world over. So who knows? That one change of thought, you say, instead of being down and getting stuck about something, I'm going to think about how I can help someone else with this, or just how wonderful I am and my neshama is, how powerful I am. Connecting that to Hashem, and all of a sudden we're going to hear the shofar blow. And I don't have a source for this. I could just imagine a strong light's going to be shining from your face, like she's the one who did the last change of thought. And all of a sudden, the whole world will be transformed, like we said, within even less than 18 minutes. We will see that will be in the Beis Hamikdash and already seeing that fulfillment. And it's not easy. It's really not easy. And that's the way it's supposed to be. We're capable of doing it, but it's work. It's inside. Now it's all like really focused in. We don't have necessarily the outside. It's from inside. It's our own thoughts, our own inhibitions that try to stop us. And that's what we have the power of this week's Parsha. So I'll just end with that. The power that we have from the commandment that Hashem gave Abraham Avinu to go beyond ourselves. And what is that? Hashem said, Lech lecha. Hashem said to Abraham, go, right? He was telling him to travel. He didn't tell him where he's going, but he said, Lech lecha, go to yourself. He told him very specifically, though, not where you're going, but Hashem used 3 different descriptions of where you're leaving. Where are you coming from? Lech lecha me'artzecha, go, leave your land. Umi me'oladetcha, leave your birthplace. Umi beis avicha, and leave your father's home. Where are you going? That's El ha'aretz asher ar'eka. I'm going to show you the land. But let me just describe to you where you're leaving. So here the Rebbe explains so beautifully. Lech lecha. You're really going when you aretz asher ar'eka, this wonderful land of promise, right? The promised land, the land of godliness, the land of connection, land of the most shining you is Lech lecha. It's really inside of you. You're going really to your true self. Each one of us has tremendous, unique potential that nobody else ever had before and no one will have. Hashem is infinite. He created every neshama with its own beautiful, perfect potential that's here to bring a peace to this world that's very necessary. How do we find that? How do we make that shine? So the Rebbe says we have to first of all leave 3 places. Lech lecha me'artzecha, leave your land. Eretz, the word land, is also merutza. It's from the words of like desires. Because we all have an animalistic soul who, the goal of our Yetzer Hara, an animalistic soul, is to put blockades and try to stop us from finding our true potential. With trivialities, with little things, getting us involved in something that is not necessary for us to be involved in. Whether it's a negative interaction or being overly involved in certain things that are just very materialistic just for the sake of that. Like I said, any of the negative emotions that are connected to the animalistic soul, anger, resentment, anxiety, all that is artzecha. It's our land. It's something that our animalistic soul desires. It like pulls us down. We have to leave that. Your birthplace. What does your birthplace represent? A person is born with a certain nature, right? Everybody's born, there's nature versus nurture, but everyone has a certain makeup that we are all. Some people are more prone to chesed, more generous, more kind. Some people are more prone to gevura, more disciplined. So what does it mean to leave your birthplace? It means look at ourselves honestly and say, whatever I'm doing, am I doing it just because it's easy for me, or it's my nature, or it comes naturally to me, or can I try to do something that might be a little bit different than what I'm used to? Leave my birthplace, something that's not necessarily, that's something very natural to me, like, oh, that's so not me, let me leave that for other people. 1 second. Even though it's very hard for me to be investing, let's say, more chesed or more gevura, because it's not natural to me, I'm going to try to go leave my birthplace, leave what's natural to me. Not don't do it, keep doing what's natural to you, but also go a little bit to push ourselves to do something that's not necessarily so us, so natural to us. And the lastly is Beis Avicha, your father's home. In Kabbalah, the father represents the intellect, because intellect, father and mother, give birth to emotions, right? You can't have an emotion unless you're aware of something. You can't love something unless you know about it. You can't hate something unless you know about it. So your intellect is compared to the father. What does it mean to leave your intellect? Our intellect is such an important component of our human being. No, so what does it mean? A human intellect can also stop someone from reaching their potential. Because, say, this is not logical, this is not practical, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for you to do this mitzvah. It doesn't make sense. Think logically, think practically. The Rebbe says, leave your father's home. Not everything has to make sense. Right? Not everything has to work out. If it's for Hashem, it's for another Jew, it's for the Torah, and I run for it, even though it doesn't really seem to make sense to me, that's where I'm going to find Ela Eretz Asher Eka. So what is the Eretz? We all have our own unique potential, but we really all have a united potential because we're all women who are in this generation. We're a Gilgul. We are reincarnation. We have the same neshamot as the women who left Mitzrayim. And their strength was that they actually brought about the Geula through their faith. You know, everyone else was very down. This is never going to happen. Look how much we're suffering. The men were so depressed. They didn't even want to have any more children. The women, with their beauty and with their belief, they encouraged, with Miriam leading them all. And she said, we're not only going to believe, but we're going to take something physical. We're going to get instruments ready because we know not only is Moshe taking us out, but we're going to want to dance and sing. And they had instruments. So we are the same neshamas. So everything that we do needs to be infused with that, knowing that it's not just something that now I'm going to make my connection better to Hashem, my connection to other Jews, learning Torah. I'm actually bringing Mashiach. And really, that's it. It's the woman. So each one of us, even the little step in our office Yisrael, on Zion Cheshvan, taking on that pledge and asking and believing, that itself are really huge strides, bringing the whole world.
Can you tell us what station delayed that you can go and bring him immediately?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Can you tell us what station does he delay?
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. You know, it says Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was on the mountain, Hashem let him see almost like a video, right, of all the generations. When he saw Rabbi Akiva with his horrible, torturous death, he said, Zot Torah v'zot schar. How could this be? Like, he's the one who represents Torah. How could this be? This is the reward. When he saw our generation, he said, he was almost like silent. He was in awe. How could this generation still believe after all these years we've been promised, and he's so delayed? But the point is that it is so inspired that we're sitting here and we really believe that right now, before this class is even over, we're going to hit the show.
It's so important that the color got fade away.
Yeah,
I have to give up.
yeah, don't ever give up. Exactly. L'chaim.
Thank you. So, I guess everybody knows it.
I've heard a lot of familiar faces. Yes.
A very famous community, very wonderful, wonderful community. Thank you so much.
Asking for rain.
Yes, Miriam Yerushalmi. How exciting. Welcome, Miriam. Everybody knows Miriam Yerushalmi. Ladies here,
Okay. Oh my God.
and I got to start based on California. Never gave me a bracha, many blessings, to start based on California in 1990. I know how old I am. And from 1990 to 1992, married his mother. So when I heard Miriam Yerushalmi came to town, I was like, yay, now we can have another wonderful speaker. So I'm so privileged, and so it's such a that gives us the ability, the encouragement for women to learn and to keep learning. I can another time I'll tell you all the best that we get to just keep learning and keep doing gatherings for women. If we really want to gatherings for women, we're going to Torah. And I know that some women might think this is a luxury. No, I felt this is a necessity. Women must get together and learn Torah. And he just kept on promoting. So here we are. Thank God we're here together. Thank you for all the ladies
speak after so many speakers that were so amazing. I'm like, what more can be said? And that's why sometimes I like to go first. Just so, but Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Recently I got this gift in the mail, and it said, side by side, miles apart, we are soul sisters connected by our heart. And for those of you on Zoom, we feel you here. For those of us here, we feel the people wherever they are on Zoom, and we are, like, in a second, going to be, please God, dancing with Mashiach in the Beit HaMikdash. And we are already going to live the Mashiach moment every day in this so-called Mar Cheshvan, because it's no longer Mar Cheshvan, it's Ram. We're going to lahafoch, just like Purim, we have the power to lahafoch. Just like during Yom Kippur, we had the power to lahafoch, to like really turn it over and upside down and all the way around and from one extreme level to the next. Ram means elevated. And because everything that Rachel said and how much we got through the whole experience of the holidays, especially the last of the holiday, which we dance nonstop. Baruch Hashem. I'm still feeling it. Baruch Hashem. And I want to explain to you what this experience of what we did on Simchat Torah, thanks to Rachel Udkoff, because my books were not unpacked completely, and one of my books were missing, and she actually brought me a Xerox copy of the book I normally read right before Simchat Torah, and this leads us to being able to dance through every moment of every day. This is what the bracha of our having celebrated all the holidays, but especially Simchat Torah. You know, when we dance, we actually like juggle up and down our head. And the whole physical act of elevating our head reminds us that we have to take our body in action and move with Torah and mitzvahs. We have to go beyond just the intellectual high and the intellectual excitement and the delight of learning, that the dancing actually not only as our brain goes from here to there because we jump, but it allows and God's brain, as it were, his intellectual power to get elevated. And that's why this month, Ram Cheshvan, from the word rom, like to elevate, we have elevated God. The Torah can't dance. We became the feet of the Torah. When we dance with the Torah, it not only, we lifted the Torah, representing lifting up the level of the Torah's power of joy, which then lifts up Hashem to a higher level of joy, which then, of course, we know God is our shadow. Whatever we do, he's with us. He's doing. And it affects him. We have affected God, which then affects us. So when you think about all this Torah Chadasha, this new Torah now, because of us, because we elevated it. And that's why we can either have a Mar Cheshvan and feel bitter that the holidays are over, the inspiration is over, or we can say, no way, Jose, I'm going to take the steps, the literal steps. I'm going to dance every day with my tambourine. I'm going to dance while I'm doing something. You know, I always tell people, take the broom and dance with it, you know, like really with a beat and with joy, just like the Kohanim did their work in the Beit HaMikdash. It was menial seemingly work. It wasn't, but it was physical and seemingly not so elevated and so spiritual. So when we see that, you know, the whole experience of the whole holidays leading up to, in a sense, moving away from our mind, because the attribute of dancing exceeds any letters or any understanding and any comprehension, which then causes Hashem to reach that level of like midah keneged midah. So we have maybe no reason to dance because this, because of that. The whole global world doesn't seemingly have a reason to dance, but we move away from the minute letters of in representation of like the limitations, because there's a definition in a letter of some sort. Yes, there's infinite godly revelation, of course, in every letter, but when you think about our own intellect trying to connect to the infinite wisdom of Hashem, like it's going to happen, God willing, when Mashiach comes, that it will get to that ultimate revelation. But until then, the way to enable our mind to run away from our mind, kind of lech lecha and run away from the Father and all that, then is through dance, which is the simcha, which is through all really the physical deeds that we do, that we attach our joy to it. And really, the Rebbe would tell us that now we have the right, we have the permission to fill our mouths with joy, which forever before the Rebbe saying that, we couldn't, because we were still in the midst of gullus, and we were still in the midst of so much, tragedies, and the Rebbe gave us permission to say, open your eyes. Like, even though you'll see this and you'll see that, but put on a new pair of glasses to see really what's about to unfold. Just like when Moshe Rabbeinu came to the Jewish people and saying, okay, now your redemption have arrived, but it got worse, the labor, and it didn't seem like it. Everything follows of what happened before, so it's really happening now, really, in a sense. I was thinking, as I was thinking, like, we lead the way for Hashem. Because what we do is Hashem is our Father, and if we're besimcha, no matter what we see, there's a song that says, don't walk ahead of me, I may not follow. No, for us, we must walk ahead of Hashem. We must go out there and lead the way for Hashem, because then that arouses that part of himself that's hidden, that part of that delight that wants to come out and wants to be able to join us in our dance. I was thinking, when you think about the power of delight and the power of understanding and the wisdom that gets activated by simcha. So again, you see your head go up when you dance? Doesn't make sense. How does that happen? How can it be that just because my physical head goes from one place to the next, that it's a symbolism of the spiritual aspect of what happens when, whether we're singing, whether we're clapping, whether in our head we're, humming, a tune while doing the physical things that we're doing, whether we're increasing our song in prayer, like I just called her last night. I had a student over me, and she's like, can you please, record the singing? And, I'm like, first of all, okay, my voice is not like hers. I said, let's call Rachel, let's get her, someone who has like a really angelic voice to do it. So we did a whole, yes, we told her. She sings, she has a guitar. You have to do it next time. I should have reminded you. Did you bring it?
No.
Oh my gosh, we had a whole night of her by my house, and we were singing.
People
I know, she's not getting out. At the end, we're going to sing and dance. She's gone. So,
My mother plays piano.
I was thinking how this young lady had that
You
much
haven't seen
knowledge.
I know, it's incredible.
She's
an artist, a designer, an architect, a singer, a guitar player. I'm blown away. Baruch Hashem. Yes, Baruch Hashem. So we can take a hachlata today and really elevate Cheshvan and not let what everything happened before, leave us. So there was another call that came my way, and she was, having a desire to do more programs for girls, and she opened an igris to the Rebbe, to give her a bracha to do these programs for girls, and she asked me to be involved, and I'm like, so she sends me the letter, And the Rebbe was saying how, like, I'm going to quote it, that like every day, you know, the loss, there's no compensation possible for the next day to make up for the day before. So now we're having a chance, and you think about like, okay, so let's now from now on increase our joy in everything that we do. Because imagine the compensation of how much more brachas. They say you do a mitzvah just because with Kabbalas Ol, and you know, you don't maybe have Ava and Yeret Hashem while doing it. But when you have Simcha attached to it, it like by 1,000-fold, because Simcha poretz geder. There's no like measurement to how much blessings that become attached to that mitzvah. There's no measurement. Because usually each mitzvah has a infinite level of connection to Hashem, but there's a certain measure of, you know, but with Simcha, it poretz geder. And if you look at the word Mashiach, which has the word Sameach, that we bring out, our Simcha, bring out the little Yud. The Yud is hidden. The Mashiach in today is hidden. But when we have Simcha, then what happens is the Yud becomes more apparent. Hashem's Chokhmah becomes more our Chokhmah. Our intellect becomes greater through Simcha. So a lot of people say, well, I'm not so gifted intellectually. I say dance more. And guess what? Science shows that when you dance, especially because you're really like the aerobic type of exercise, but especially they've done research on dancing, that it does create a flow of creative juices. There's something to it that makes you brighter and more creative. So, and really, if you think about what makes our children in our homes happy, what makes our husbands happy, is when we're happy. And there's a quote that says, the parent-child relationship is the most powerful mental health intervention of mankind.
Can you read that again?
The parent-child relationship is the most powerful mental health intervention of mankind. Because usually, God forbid, if there's fighting, if there's arguing, then there has to be some kind of intervention and give the child therapy for mental health, because it's very hard for them. So, but I say, after reading that, I'm like, true, but what would the Rebbe say from that? And he would say, absolutely. But I say also, when you know and believe that you are seen and protected, when you know that Hashem loves you and that you're cherished by Hashem, this makes you feel safe and calm. This makes the children feel safe and calm. And what is the barometer that you feel safe and calm? Joy, happiness, bubbliness. Everything's okay. You're celebrating. As the pasuk says, you know, there's a pasuk that says, the needs of your people are many. And that's why they're not celebrating, because their das is very low. They're, you know, because they have so many needs. It didn't happen that way. I should have had blah, 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 blah. The needs. And you have so much expectations, then it takes away your simcha. But a wise-hearted person is found always celebrating, because the wise-hearted is happy for no reason. Meaning the ultimate reason of, I have no need for a reason to be happy. That's a reason, which is no reason, but it's a real big reason. Because there's so many reasons that if we just opened our eyes and paid attention to it. So when our heart is yearning and burning and it's a glowing coal with simcha, then the darkness leaves. The concealment of Hashem, the concealment of the world's reality, and all that's happening in this crazy world right now just melts away. And of course, our devekus becomes even greater. Our connection to Hashem is just, because when you have these layers on your heart, it's just like
heavy. And these layers, whether it's sadness or worry, and your thoughts are mingling into the unknown of what will be and what ifs, then your spiritual sensitivity gets a little blocked. Your godly soul is basically been put in, a timeout somewhere and not free to come out and play and be happy. It cannot do the symphony and make a music of your day. So this ability is really something that we have to take upon ourselves this month. And in this week's Parsha, it's interesting when the whole story of Lech Lecha, and you see it's double. Lech Lecha, it means like to move away from your physical boundaries so that you can have more freedom in your spiritual boundaries, because one leads to the other. If you move away, like all of them said, like from the desires and your godly, it's not just the desires for 10 more cakes or whatever, but it's the heart, because it says don't go after your heart's desires. Your heart desires to be, meaning the animalistic heart, desires to be angry, desires to make you anxious, desires for you to be discombobulated. Don't go after your heart's desires, not just the cookies. It's also don't go after your anxieties and your depressions. So if you move away from the materialistic world, then you have the ability to bring out the spiritual aspects of your being. And that's why Lech Lecha is in the two. And it says that that he went outside and to show him the stars. And again, the going outside represents you have to get out of your head. Dancing helps you to get out of your head, to move out of that lower level intellectual capacity and really reach the higher intellectual capacity. And it's interesting because if you look at dancing, singing, clapping, and then it accesses, write this down. It's a quick, instead of calling your homeopath or your this a path and that a path, a quick remedy that you need to realign, like I always say, the spiritual chiropractic alignment is singing and dancing, because it got out of your head, right? That's what we learned, but it draws down the yechida of your neshama. How? Let me explain. All the negative emotion is really outside of you. It's not your true self. It's the klippas of you. It's not in you. It seems like it's in you. You feel it almost in your stomach and in your heart. But really, truthfully, it's not really you. And so the yechida, which is the highest transcendent part of your soul, is not you either, in a sense. It's not in you. It's above. It's transcendent. So when it comes down from your singing and dancing and clapping, as the Breslov Rebbe would say, that when you clap, you bring Eretz Yisrael to you. When you clap, or when you do any kind of like positive words, and imagine now positive words with songs, then you actually bring Gan Eden around you. So you have such a power. And this Yechida now also comes down to you. You have Eretz Yisrael, you have Gan Eden now down, and your Yechida next to you. And there's that puny little negative emotion that is a sheker that can't stay next to all these holy powers. So then it banishes the sadness. It automatically, there's no room now for this sadness or anxiety to exist. So instead of this, people take Xanax, people take this, try this. It's safe. Not like a magician that says, don't try this at home. You can really try this and see yourself. I had different clients, especially in Crown Heights, because right as COVID was starting, we were the beginning of COVID here. And so I mostly have been doing my clients over, phone and Zoom. They came to me and they could not concentrate. They could not hear what I was saying. What I would do, put music on, and I would dance with them. And I would do dance meditations, which one day we have to do here. We were doing some of them at Malka Butel's house when we were having Rosh Chodesh. Some of you maybe were here, but no. Because that's the power of simcha, with action. It says in Tanya, every action you do, diminishes the power of the Yetzer Hara. So that's why when you pray and you do the action of saying the words, you're physically moving your lips, that diminishes the physical hold of the Yetzer Hara on you. So how much more so when you're dancing, when you're besimcha and you're singing, you're using your body. And by the way, when you're dancing and singing, you're using up energy which actually covers your whole body with sweat. And every sweat becomes like the waters of mikvah to purify you. There is so many reasons why we have to ram.
I just pictured you dancing right before Simchas Torah, and like, so this is all of the
Yes, I told you we were like going like this. We could have like washed cars with it, and like it was so much dancing. So and I told her it's like this is like a mikvah because we just like perspired such holy drops.
There's a saying called, when you feel an emotion, get in motion.
Yes, I love that. I have to write that on after. Oh my gosh.
And it even turn the music on. When you feel an emotion, get in motion.
When you feel an emotion.
When you feel an emotion, like a sadness or whatever, get in motion. So that would be dancing. It would be start getting in motion. Instead of drowning in your sorrows, get in motion. So, yeah.
Because the joy, it's like you're bringing the kedusha of heaven around you. You're bringing the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael to you. Because joy, there is no barriers. There's no limitations. There's no measurements. So now I'm like here. Like I'm already in Eretz Yisrael. Just like Eliezer, he just in a second ended up where, you know, Rivka Imenu was to make a baby. Make a baby. I meant make a marriage that would lead to a baby. So much dancing.
I said David HaMelech was dancing.
Yes. Oh, David and Melech. Yes. Okay, was that like what is our Freudian slip? Okay, so imagine now 10 men singing prayers in shul, or women together besimcha. It's interesting because, you know, when I was in 770, I gave 2 to 3 hour classes a day, and it was
recording in progress.
Okay, so one of the best days of my life when I could also stay a little longer and linger, because like Yutas Kislev, I would just say, oh, I'm not working today, I'm just going to be in 770 all day, all the Farbrengens, and every day, I'm telling you, I worked there. Every day was Simchat Torah. Every day there was dancing and clapping every day, and it was like a washing machine rotation, like, because like, you know, the sweat on one side would sweat, and then we women would be in one center, and we were just like, and I felt like, wow, this is Geula. I mean, this is what, and this here, we're being together, learning together, is Geula. So the Rebbe actually writes a letter. Another person called me also, and I get an experience of different letters that I wouldn't have gotten to, because, you know, I'm a mashpia. People ask me, what does this mean? Can you explain? So one woman gave me a letter, and helping her to give an answer to her query. And the quote was, a place where 10 Torah students who ignore their work. Didn't we just ignore our work in the house to be here? And are present in a synagogue or a house of study. What happens? Their 10 powers of the soul is not involved in like worldly activity. So instead, they're fully connected to God, and is considered that they are in God's city. So right now here, who of us ignored our home and have dishes? Who of us have ignored the to-do list that we have to get ready for tomorrow? Look how many women here are together. Look how many laughters and singing and dancing, hopefully in our hearts, in our mind, in our soul, and soon with our feet. So what does it say, the Rebbe? It's an encompassing light that surrounds the person, and in such a complete manner that they become whole. And with this divine sense that we're not now attached to any bounds of reason or any logic or nothing to do with our nature, because we're moving away from the natural order of things. We are not going to do this or that in the world. We decided to pray. We decided to learn. We decided to dance and pray and sing and pray and learn with like a nigun in the. We're just like consistently adding simcha. How much like it's like we get into God's great city, and just like Abraham who passed over, right, the Ivri, we pass over what's ever happening in our life and we choose simcha. So, wow. We should see that everything that we do in the spiritual, adding it to the physical, that becomes our sanity. And sanity is not anymore just a luxury. It's a must. Sanity, our joy. So, let's go. Let's get our feet going. And I pray for all of us. I just pray that no more Mar Cheshvan. Exit out.
What's that?
Mar is bitterness because there's no holiday. We were actually learning together because we did all the holidays. We don't need those things anymore to reach a level higher than all that of this month, right? And so then we should be dancing even more than we dance on Simchas Torah. So I bless everyone. There's so much more to say, but I think I didn't look at my watch when I started.
Miriam just arrived.
I just got here.
Okay. So I want to say, like, if you look at Abraham and Sarah, and the whole story in this week's parsha of how so interesting that, like, he says, like, that he begs her to say, "You're my sister." And like, because if not, you're so beautiful, they're going to take you and they're going to kill me. So it's very fascinating, the whole story, and why he would say such a thing, and why you didn't know she was beautiful before. Well, the Mefarshim say that because they passed over a lake, he saw a reflection of her. Like, that's how modest she was, that she wasn't so known to him in many ways. So, but I remember Rabbi Jacobson once, in I think the Soul of Two Cities, said that that this whole the Rebbe Sikh on this was that the whole explanation was that sometimes you have a relationship with Hashem like a sister, and sometimes you have a relationship with Hashem like a wife. Now, the one like a sister is natural, it's organic, it's within you. So we all have an innate capacity in our neshama, in the DNA of our soul, to have love of Hashem, and yirat Hashem, to have simcha. But it's like we didn't really work hard for it. And then there's the wife relationship where it's not natural to you so much. It's hard work. She's 100% opposite you. Men are from Mars, women from Venus. It's really true. It's hard to get along sometimes. It's not easy. It's work. But then when you put the work in and you get to that state of such a love, like no other love in this world, that can be as close to even the love of Hashem. Because in that person that you're with is Hashem. And the only person that you can so be intimate with is a physical body of another who contains a soul. So in the symbolism of this all is our relationship to Hashem. We sometimes have a sisterly relationship to Hashem. And Avraham was basically saying to himself, I'm traveling. I don't have so much time to meditate and really be Eon like I used to. It's going to be hard. I'm going to have to maybe work the land like the Jewish people had to work the land when they left Egypt into the world of Israel. So I'm going to need my sisterly love right now. I have to remind myself, like, to access that part, but to remind ourselves that even sometimes we're so busy and we can't learn and daven like we really want to, that we have to have at least an awareness that that I have this capacity in me to get to that place. Okay, it might not be as exciting, it might not, but not to lose it all. And then to add whatever wifely type of love into the situation. And it's always easy, Simcha. It's always easy, the dancing while going through the day. It's easier sometimes than just like letting it go completely, and then find yourself like not in a state of simcha, and seeing yourself like slowly like see that you're not as bubbly, and then see yourself, God forbid, because there are times where we don't have as much time like we want, to be able to be Mashiach light all day long, daven and learn, and our family do need us, and we have to do these physical things, but then don't let the physical things be like dry. Bring life to it, like Aaron took that stick, and then in a second it was like the dry stick made almonds, like as if it was from the branch. That's how we could be. Bezrat Hashem, we should always, even after the month of Ram Cheshvan, always be beromemut and being reaching new heights. Thank you, Hashem, for this opportunity. I really hope this was recorded, that we could all share it from many other people. Thank you, really, for always, and Rita, everyone, for being here. Thank you. Thank you.
A year of Geshem, a year of everything.
Thank you. Let's dance. We'll dance after. Yeah, I'm gonna stay. By miracle, let me hear this miracle. My husband had this appointment at a certain time. They canceled and made it later, so I could stay later.
So we're going to have Miriam Almag, Miriam Levy.
Right?
Yes.
I played the guitar.
You're rocking it, man.
You've been coming
I had the guitar when I was singing.
20 years.
Rock and roll hand.
I'll introduce you.
Oh, Hashem, you played so beautifully. It was so amazing.
Marla, have your new name for
Can you remind me a name for you? I'm going to start calling you Rock and Roll Hannah.
You both inspired me to buy a guitar. I have drums in New York, and by accident it didn't come with my list. I saw it, so I had to buy me one.
And I'm just going to introduce
Okay.
So, wow. What a beautiful crowd, a beautiful gathering of women. Welcome. So, women came in from Marina Del Rey. We have women from Westlake Village, women from Marina Del Rey, women from my side of town, La Brea. And where else? Where else do we have women coming from?
Westlake Village, right?
And the women on Zoom. Welcome everybody who's on Zoom and who's on Facebook. Facebook Live of I think Miriam Yerushalmi has her Facebook Live on. And wait, why did the yeah, it's being recorded now. Wait, somebody's moving the cord, so careful with the cord, so it'll keep recording. Okay,
Put us in the cord of the.
One, sit down. Maybe sit down and
Maybe she should sit down for a second. Oh, there we go.
there we go. We make you do exercise while you're here.
There we go. Okay.
Or is somebody else speaking?
Yeah, I'll move this.
I'm speaking.
Yay, okay, good. I'm enjoying it very much.
Okay, good. Where do you live? Do you live here?
I live right off of Burton Way, on Almont and Burton Way, so we're really close.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Okay, so are you
Yeah, let me introduce you. Yes.
okay?
So Miriam Almag, who has been part of Beistanis for 20 years. Miriam moved here from Huntington Beach 20 years ago to Los Angeles, and she used to also, she still is, hosts in her home also classes, and Miriam used to also organize classes. But now she works in the Bank of America, so we don't get to see her as much doing organizing classes for us anymore. But Miriam still teaches, right? You teach on Shabbos every Shabbos?
Every Shabbos.
Every Shabbos,
right.
Miriam teaches a class here in Pico. Where and when?
It's at Rivka Yaron's house, which is 1126 Clark Avenue, number 3, apartment 3, and it's always, right now it's going to be around 5 o'clock, but as the
clock changes, we're going to go earlier.
So Miriam is our last speaker for today, and then we'll hopefully dance. Whoever's up to, after all that food, maybe you have energy to dance. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give you my phone number. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so, so we're celebrating Rosh Chodesh, right? We call it Mar Cheshvan.
Do you want some water? Do you want some
No, I'm okay. Yeah, I had a lot to drink before I came. I'm very well hydrated. No, I'm good. Thank you. So, Mar Cheshvan, you know, I also read that it doesn't necessarily, Mar doesn't necessarily mean bitter. That Mar also has to do, we say it in our prayers every day, Hen goim ke mar midli, right? And Mar can also mean a drop of water. Okay, so Mar, Hen goim ke mar midli. The goyim are just like all of the nations are just like a drop in the bucket. That's what we say in our prayers every day when we are, you know, starting the davening and we're just saying, Hashem, you should bless us for your sake because we're just insignificant, like a drop in a bucket. So that one meaning that the sages say of Mar Cheshvan is that it's going to be a month of drops, raindrops, okay? Because it's considered the month of rain. And I know I missed the earlier speakers, but you probably talked about the fact that rain, we don't get so much in California, but rain is Geshem. It's related to the word Gashmiut, which is
Would I be so rude to ask you to repeat it because my friend wants me to hear what you just said and I was stuffing my face.
Okay. So I was going back with the idea that Mar Cheshvan.
Her name is Marla.
Okay,
Oh, and you're
can I
Marla,
throw
okay.
something in real quick? My
Yeah.
name is Marla. I was at a Shabbat dinner at Jill's for Sukkot,
Yeah.
and they told me I needed to get a Hebrew name to change my name because Mar meant bitter. So we've been working on that. That's why I said, somebody just said Mar is bitter. Why would they name people
But she
M-A-R
also said
if
it
it's
means
bitter?
a drop.
It can also mean the sages. This is something from the sages that say the reason that Mar Cheshvan, the name of the month is Cheshvan.
Okay.
But we
Cheshvan
call it-
means like what?
That's just the name of the month,
Is it like October in Hebrew?
sort of. Yeah, something like that.
Sort of.
I mean, it doesn't always fall necessarily in October. It could be partly September, whatever, or November. But it's that time of the year. It's after the holidays of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, etc. comes Cheshvan. And Cheshvan has no holidays. Okay?
It's the one month. Is it the only month of the year with no holiday?
No.
No.
It is not.
Okay. It seems like there's
In fact-
5 holidays a month, so.
You're a happy person. I call you
Exactly.
happy.
Exactly.
I need a name to counter the bitter.
So, yeah, Marla, I guess you could say if the Israelis would hear your name, right? Were they Israelis that were?
Yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah.
were very upset with
And
it.
yeah, so they say Marla. Oi, Marla. That means it's bitter for her. She
That's
has
right.
bitterness, right?
That's right. And, so
And
they're
if
working on
someone's
my
name is
change.
Carla, they say, oh, Carla, she's cold, right?
Oh, really?
So those names like Marla, Carla, you know, they have
They
they have
really
trouble.
threw them. Oh, they didn't like it.
Yeah, so I'm just,
Miriam's name also has the
yeah,
word
Miriam
and
is
also-
Mar,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right.
I am also.
Right, exactly. So, but that's a beautiful name, Miriam.
I know.
Right?
Why-
I'm a
why would-
bucket of yum.
Exactly. You're a
I
drop
put
of
drops
the
of
water.
water with yum.
Right. So that Mar, it can also mean drops. Pardon me?
The million was Emma.
Exactly. So
So
Mar
the
can
Rebbe
also
actually
mean
talks
a
about
drop.
it. The Rebbe talks about it. You know that?
Okay,
Drop,
I didn't
but
know
that's
that.
also nothing really exciting, is it?
Well, because drops of rain. We're having raindrops. This did we experience a rainstorm this
Yes.
week? Right? Yeah. Right. It's like we prayed for rain. It was Parshas Noach, and we had a rainstorm. I'm telling you, when we had that rainstorm, I was just like, wow, Hashem, thank you. You listen to us. You care about us. When we see the rain, especially in California, because we don't get much rain. Probably don't, if you're like me, I don't really like rain, but now I just feel like when we get rain, it means Hashem cares about us, because when Hashem first created the world, there was no rain. And he didn't make it rain until Adam was created, the first man who would pray for rain. Until
How do you know
someone,
what it was if there wasn't any?
he prayed that Hashem should send the blessings, right? And when Adam prayed, send the blessings to earth, the rain fell and everything sprouted.
Oh,
Before it was just like this field that has seeds in it, and nothing was growing. But when the rain came, everything just sprouted, and it was this beautiful Garden of Eden, right? This
so maybe he
beautiful
prayed
garden.
for water since he didn't really know what rain was.
You know what? Who knows what he knew what
I'm
was?
just
Adam
curious.
was blessed with an incredible wisdom because each animal that came in front of him, he gave it a name that had to do with that animal's essential nature. So he was the creation, the direct creation of Hashem. So he was an incredible person. But to say what he knew, what he didn't know, that I can't tell you. But the name Mar Cheshvan also has to do with rain. The month of Cheshvan has to do with rain. And we come out of Tishrei, where we had so many holidays. And not only did we have holidays, we had these amazing holidays, right? Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchas Torah. I mean, these are the times when the davening has special tunes that are only for that time.
Wait, before you leave, Marlene,
I'm just going to go put this down so I can listen. Did you want me to do something?
no, I just wanted to say something more about Miriam.
Oh, okay.
Please do. Okay, let me just drop this real quick.
Okay. When she comes back, right. Okay, yeah, go ahead, say it now.
So there's a talk from the Rebbe, and I don't have it fresh in my memory, but from years ago I remember, and Miriam will probably look this up after I tell her about this because it's her name. The Rebbe says Miriam does mean it was bitter for her, right?
Right.
And so she was bitter about the fact that they were in exile. Miriam was the sister of Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu, and she was bitter that they were still stuck in Egypt. And she had, because she was bitter about being in exile and the Jews being captive, held hostage by Pharaoh and the Egyptians, she actually did something about it. And it led her to actually bring hope, and she prophesied that Moses will redeem them, and she prepared the tambourines, and she got all the women to prepare tambourines so that when they left Egypt, they were dancing with tambourines, and the women were the ones who had the tambourines, not the men, because the women had more trust and belief that they would get out of that exile, and it was because she felt the bitterness of being in exile that she was able to help get them out of exile and have that extra hope and that extra belief.
On thank you, but like all that I've been listening to, okay, I'm very analytical, so I guess it's hard when you just believe and you don't analyze, and I kind of analyze. So on one hand, who was the lovely person, I think she's gone, said that, oh no, it's my baby, too. Dancing and being happy brings good things. So if you're bitter, it would not bring good things.
So it depends
That
what you're
makes no
bitter
sense
about.
to me.
So that's what Deb was saying. She wasn't bitter about the good things. She was bitter about the fact that they were still not seeing godliness revealed. They were still in exile, which meant that they were under the rulership of other nations that weren't
So does bitter
promoting
mean
godliness.
unhappy? Is that
So,
what bitter
no,
means?
no, not necessarily. No.
It can move you like a springboard
Right.
to do something about it.
Right. It could be
Depression makes you like
lethargic.
and not animated and like quit.
Bitterness is not the same thing. Bitterness is feeling that.
It's a motivator. It's
Yeah.
a motivator.
Yeah,
No, I
it's a
always think
charge.
of it as being somebody who's angry.
It's an energy charge of not being okay with something, but not being settled with the way things are that are bad.
To do then something
Right,
about
and
it.
then to do something about it.
You know, just like sometimes you like to eat something that's tangy, like with lemon in it. You don't want sugar in that.
Yeah.
So bitterness
Sour.
does not have to be bad. Okay?
Got
It
it.
can be good. And in Hasidus, the Alter Rebbe especially teaches, like they were saying, there's bitterness and then there's depression. There's sadness. Sadness is not good. We should not be sad. But to see something wrong and be bitter about it and say, this has to change. I have to change this. That's a good thing. And that can be a motivator. Because not everything is always rosy, right? We don't have to look at everything as rosy. We have to see there are things to change and feel bad about it.
Bitter in English kind of has a different connotation.
Yeah.
It's kind of an angry, you know,
Right.
person
Right.
that looks at the negative
Exactly.
and everything.
Exactly.
You know, so we have a different connotation in English.
Sure.
probably,
Exactly.
than
So
you
that's
would.
why the word
It's not
mar.
a word.
The word.
Bittersweet.
Bittersweet. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
You
go.
could also have margalit.
And more was
There you
also more was one of the things used in
Right.
the incense in the Holy
Right. There's
Temple to
more,
make it
which
good
is
smell.
myrrh. So that's a beautiful smelling spice.
Right?
Right. So that could also be morla. Like your name could be morla. That means you are a fragrant spice. A fragrant.
Well, I will tell you, it was Israelis that were devastated by my name, and they were young.
Right.
They're like in their 20s or 30s or at
Yeah.
the most. They look young, but like they were like, no, we're gonna get you. Do you have a Hebrew name? And I went, I don't think so. I know I was
Okay.
named after my grandmothers who were Matilda and Mazel Tov, but I don't think I actually have a Hebrew name. But I think I want something completely different. I want something to counteract it because, truthfully, I do have always suffered from depression.
Uh-huh.
So people think I'm happy all the time, and because people that have depression can also have the flip side, bittersweet. You can be
Got
really
it.
joyful when you're around people, and then go into something dark when you're alone. So
Right.
it doesn't always mean that you bring doom and gloom everywhere. I'm fun,
Yeah.
but it's a more internal thing. So
Got it.
maybe
Okay.
my mother messed
That-
up on that name.
That sounds like a good project.
Call me.
That sounds
Okay.
like a good project to
I've
get a
been
Hebrew
going
name.
through. I've learned every Hebrew name in the book. Okay, every Hebrew name possible, and I don't want one I know somebody else that has, because then I always think it's their name. Even though in English we have a lot of people with the same name,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm stealing it from somebody.
In the meantime, morla, you can think. In the meantime, when you think of morla, you can think of the beautiful spice that was used in the incense.
Well,
to-
more,
in
that's
the- in the-
M-O-R, not M-A-R. Mar is bitter, more is spice. So you're making it up for me, but thank you.
Well, it's the same letters
Same
in Hebrew.
No, it's
same.
Hebrew.
Yeah.
It's not Marla's not M-A, and
No.
more's
It's
not
the,
M-O.
no, because they don't. The vowels are different. So
Oh,
that's the beauty of Hebrew language. The beauty of the Hebrew language. There's lots of shades of meaning. This is why I encourage everyone to learn Hebrew.
Yeah, and also everything has an inner aspect and an outer
I
aspect.
actually went to Hebrew school.
Yeah.
It's
So
actually the
I
same.
don't. I haven't found one that I go, okay, that's me. Like I feel like it's
Okay.
somebody else's name.
so we're gonna go back to Mar Heshvan. That
Okay.
we've started this beautiful month.
Okay, let's give our attention back to Miriam. Miriam Alma.
Calling it Ram Cheshvan.
Ram
X'd out, X'd out Mar.
Okay, well I'm just bringing another aspect of Mar because it can mean water.
By the way,
It can mean
ladies,
water.
Rita asked me to
Only the good of
for
it.
the ladies who need to.
And I do that. That's why I
Okay, I'm sorry. For the ladies who want to do two things at once, we have to heal them. So,
All right,
okay. And then you can say do this while Miriam's speaking.
praying.
Okay.
Are we praying?
I told them.
No, we have.
Rita
Miriam
wanted,
is going to continue.
Rita wanted everybody to do two while they're here.
Naomi is called Mara,
All right.
but actually her name, so Naomi and Mara are similar. So Naomi means pleasant.
Pleasant, right.
So
Yeah.
They wanted to
Okay.
name me Tamar. They said.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
That's nice.
Right. Okay, great.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Miriam, let's go back
Did I
to
knock
Miriam.
something over?
No. All right. Okay. So now that we're going back to a sort of a quiet room, I think.
We did a transformation. We transformed bitterness to light. So,
There we did.
Yes.
That was
The
beautiful.
sweet, the sweet. Darkness
It's
and light
always
bitterness.
nice to hear what everybody else has to say. I like to listen more than talk, but I will do a little more talking. So, like I said, we had beautiful holidays in Tishrei. Okay, that was the month we just finished. Those were the month of the high holidays. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchat Torah. Beautiful holidays with a lot of togetherness. It seemed like every single day was either Yom Tov, Erev Shabbos, Shabbos. Like we were just all involved in that, and so that filled us up with a lot of light, a lot of energy, right? So now it's time to take that energy into a month which there are no specific holidays. So we're not going to be going to shul for some big holiday where we're spending hours there and we're, eating big meals and the chazan is telling these beautiful davening. It's just like a regular month.
day to day, what do we do? So this is the time when we go out there and we work on it ourselves. We take all the energy that we got from Tishrei and we work on it. We now that we've heard all the beautiful tunes that the Chazanim would sing in the shul, so when we daven, we can have that tune going through us. We took on resolutions. Here's the things I want to do this year. Now we're going to work on it. We're going to try to make it happen, okay? So we have all this energy that we got from Tishrei. Now, maybe you feel, well, I don't know if I got so much energy from Tishrei. Well, whether you know it or whether you don't know it, you got it. Hashem sent it down. He sent it down into you. And now it's the time we go into a time when it's like the ripe time for working on it. Because the days are getting shorter. There's more time, when it's dark. It's getting colder. So we want to be inside more. So this is a time when we can spend more time learning Torah. We can spend more time, davening, saying Tehillim. We can spend more time reflecting on our midot, on our character traits. And we can internalize this love that we have for Hashem and say, okay, you know what, Hashem? I'm going to be different this year. It's going to be a great year. And Hashem is going to show us that he's listening actually by sending the rain down. Okay? We might think winter is sort of a difficult time because there's so much rain, and if you live in other parts of the country, there's snow. But this is actually Hashem sending down his answer to our prayers, because it's that rain and even the snow which makes the things grow. Okay? And I guess also for people who are in business, this is a time when you're really focusing. Why? Because, you're not on summer vacation. The days are not so warm and pleasant to be out. You're really focusing, right? So you're really putting in your efforts right now. So just to take a little lesson from Parshas Noach, which we finished on Shabbos, and we're now going into Parshas Lech Lecha. But in Parshas Noach, okay, so first of all, the Rebbe tells us that the entire Torah is a book of hora'ah. It's a book of instruction. So the stories of Bereshit, of that whole book of Bereshit, are so beautiful. The stories of how the world was created, and Noach, and all the animals in the ark, they're beautiful. It's so interesting. It's like so fun to read the Torah during this time of the year. In fact, I was learning with a lady last night, and she said, Bereshit and Shemot, those are really easy for me. I'm so interested. They really grab me. Then we get to Vayikra, the third book, where it tells all about the laws of the sacrifices, and she said, I'm like lost. I cannot follow it. I don't get it. So she said, I'm really looking forward to learning with you, throughout the year, so especially when we get to then. So this is the idea, is that we have this time right now when we have all these interesting stories, so it's really interesting to learn Torah, that we can get really involved. And so hopefully by the time we get to the harder part, where it's, just the technical halachas, we're going to be committed. We're going to be used to it. And we're going to get right in. But even now, every single word in the Parsha is an instruction. Every single letter, every single spot, is an instruction. But let's just focus on the word. So there's a beautiful sikha of the Lubavitcher Rebbe that he said that we learned something about speaking, and we learned something about seeing from Parshas Noach, and they're related to each other. So it starts with the part about speaking, because it says that when Noah was bringing the animals to the ark, he was supposed to bring 2 of each animal, a male and a female, so that when all of the animals died, this male and female could start that species over again. And from the pure animals, okay, from the animals that would later be eligible to be used as a sacrifice in the Beit HaMikdash, he was supposed to bring 7 pairs. And the reason is that after he got out of the ark, he was going to bring sacrifices with those to show Hashem He's bringing his sacrifice. So the way it says in the Torah, it says, Min ha-behema ha-tehora, okay, from the pure animals. That's the words. And then it says, Umin ha-behema she'enena tehora, and from the animals that are not pure. So it's very noticed by the commentators. Why doesn't he just say, in Hebrew the word is tehor for pure, and the word for impure is tameh. They're two separate words. In English we say pure and impure, right? But in Hebrew there's tahor and tameh. So why didn't the Torah just say, bring the animals that are tahor, and then bring the animals that are tameh? Instead it says she'enena tehora. It adds eight letters, and the Torah is usually very succinct. It doesn't waste letters. So the Rebbe says this is a big instruction for us, that we should only say positive things.
Yeah.
So even if we have to say something, talk about something that's negative, don't say that, for example, don't say it's bad. Just say it's not good. Focus on the good, right? Okay, so usually this is good. Right now it's not good, meaning that it's going to get back to good.
The Rebbe was like that. He didn't say impure. He would say, he wouldn't say, in Hebrew there's another word for impure. He would just say
Tameh.
not,
He
right,
didn't
tameh.
say tameh.
He didn't say tameh.
Right.
He would say not tahor. Or
Right.
Like, and
Right.
many things like that also. He didn't say bad, he said
Not good. Right.
And a lot of negative things, he just
Yeah,
avoided
even
saying-
about
say
Instead
those
of
words.
saying, I have a thing with people, I hate that.
No.
Okay, so I learned a long time ago, just go, I don't really love that.
okay,
so it
exactly.
just-
That's exactly
it sounds much kinder than, I'm not sure I love that, than I hate that. Which is such
Exactly.
a harsh
Exactly.
way of saying anything.
Exactly. Exactly. So
So
that's
if you say hurts, it hurts me, it's a bad thing to say.
Remember we were saying how the chemicals even in your brain change when you hear or say negative words for the not good. Not good.
yes, right. So if you say it hurts, it doesn't feel good. Or I know that the Rebbe said you shouldn't say about a hospital. In Hebrew it says it can be called Beit Cholim, the house of the sick. He said you shouldn't say that. You should say it's Beit Refuah. It's the house of healing.
Much
Right?
better.
Yeah. That in general, it's important to say positive words, and if something's not positive, just say it's not positive. Don't say it's negative. Okay? Right? And like Miriam was saying, that it affects the brain. So there's been scientific studies to show that sticking with positive, it affects the neurons in your brain. I'm
Yeah.
only speculating because I didn't see the study, but I'm taking Miriam's word for it. So that's one idea, is to speak good. On the other hand, what about seeing things? Okay, what about what you see? It's also important what you see. So in the end of the story of Noach in the Parsha, it tells about the fact that Noach, after the flood was over, Noach was like a master farmer. So after the flood was over, he started to farm again. But what he really was focused on as his first thing was the grapevine. Now, a grapevine apparently is a very difficult thing to grow. So the fact that he was successful and the grapes were growing, that made him really excited. So he harvested these grapes, and what did he make first? Wine. You know, Noah had a hard time. He had watched the world be destroyed, right? Everybody was gone. And even though he survived, it's difficult to be a survivor when everything around you has been destroyed. So he was waiting for that wine to kind of make him really feel good. To really, make him happy again. So after he made the wine, he drank the wine, he became drunk. And Noah realized he's drunk, and he realized that's not a good situation for his children to see him in, because they have to have respect for their parent, okay? And he didn't want his children to see him degraded. So he went into his tent And in his tent, he was drunk. So either literally he was uncovered, his body was naked, or it could be even figuratively, he felt he was exposed. He didn't have control over himself, and they're going to come in and see him in this state. So he was exposed. And his son Ham, his sons were looking for him. Okay? Now normally, when you go to someone's house and you knock at the door, or even in your own house, if you knock at the door of a room and the person doesn't say come in, you're really not supposed to go in. Right? You're not supposed to just bust in. Unless it's an emergency or something, you feel like there's someone harmed in there. But Ham, he just bust into the tent. He bust in and he saw his father there, and he saw his father was naked, and that his father was drunk. And he rushed out and he told his brothers, Shem and Yafet, our father is drunk and he's naked and this is a disgrace and this is terrible. And his two brothers, Shem and Yafet, they took a garment and they put it on their shoulder and they walked backwards and they kind of threw it over their father so that he would be covered up. Okay? And it says explicitly in the Torah, they did not see the nakedness of their father. And the word that is used in the Torah is, we translate it in English as nakedness, but it's erva. And the erva means like this, it can mean like the hidden, animalistic desires of a person for intimate relations, right? But it can also mean like the degradation of a person. So they didn't see that. So the Rebbe tells us it doesn't mean that they didn't see it physically with their eyes, because we already know that, because we know that it tells us explicitly they walked backwards and threw the thing over him. So obviously they didn't see that he was naked. But it said they didn't even see it at all. Like they didn't disrespect their father. They didn't see anything unrespectful about their parent at all. It's like if you have a child and you walk into their room, your little baby, and the blanket has come off of them, you just put the blanket over them, right? Because they need a blanket covering. So this is how they saw their father. Our father, he needs a blanket on him. He's cold. And out of great respect, they put the blanket on him. Whereas with Ham, it was with a lot of disrespect that Ham said, oh, our father is naked and this, that, and he came out and told. So the Rebbe says it's very important when you see something that looks not right about what's going on. Maybe the way a person is acting, maybe a situation. There's two ways that two messages you're supposed to take from that. One message is, the Baal Shem Tov tells us that everything that happens in this world is hashgacha pratis. That means it's by divine providence. Hashem is making everyone, like everyone in this room, Hashem wanted me to see all of you. Okay? I'm so lucky. Hashem wanted me to see all of you. I'm so lucky.
And we wanted to see you.
Right? He brought us all here together because we had to be together today. We had to get from each other's energy, which is amazing, right? So if someone by hashgacha pratis came in front of me and I see something negative about what that person is doing, it means that I have that negativity in me. And Hashem brought this in a very nice way to show me, you need to work on yourself, Miriam. You see that negative? That's because you got it. You got to work on yourself. He could have had someone come and yell and scream at me and tell me, oh, look at you. Do you know what you did? No, he just showed me that this other person is doing that. And so he showed me, wow, see how you look at that and you see how that's so negative? You know what, Miriam? When you do that, people also think that's negative. You should really take a lesson. You should correct that. Mm-hmm. So everything is like a mirror. But on the other hand, Hashem wouldn't put this person with me if it wasn't also to help that person. So if there's something that I can be of help to that person in correcting the negative situation, just like with Ham and his two brothers, Shem and Yafet, there was a negativity going on. Ham saw it as something terrible. his brother saw it as something they can fix, right? They can put a blanket on their father, and he can retain his dignity. It's very important to know when you're dealing with your parents, especially, such a fundamental principle in Torah is honoring your parents. This is what the world stands on. It's one of the 10 commandments, okay? So important. You always have to help your parents retain their dignity. Especially as they get older, that's really important because they're getting to a place where, you know, maybe they can't really take care of themselves so much. And they don't feel so good about it because, you know, especially around their child. They were, you know, they think, you're my child. I took care of you. How can you be taking care of me? Right? So we're learning from this parsha how important it is to help your parents, especially, retain their dignity, especially when they're in a vulnerable situation. So kids always have to know, honoring your parents is such an important mitzvah. Just cannot know, and we're told, you can never do enough in that mitzvah. These are mitzvahs that have no like measure of how much is like, okay, you have to give this much tzedakah, you have to light this many Shabbos candles. Honoring your parents is like unlimited. You can never do enough.
Unless they're doing an avera, you don't help them to do a.
Right, you don't do the avera. What I'm saying is more of
if they're doing
they're
a
doing,
transgression, you don't help them, assist them to
right. So if they say,
or if they're harming themselves, you don't help them harm themselves.
Right.
Oh, you
Right.
don't help them sin. Is that what she's saying?
Yeah,
Exactly.
sin or harm themselves or doing something harmful to somebody else. You don't have to help them
Right.
do.
yeah. So
something
to
that,
to always
not
to
good.
always listen to what they say is not the same thing, but to give them the kavod. Always to give them the kavod, even if they say, you know, I want you to drive me somewhere on Shabbos, and you're like, well, I can't do that, you know, because you can't. But you doesn't mean you can lessen your kavod, your honor toward them, and you have to really speak with them very sensitively about what is they need. Is maybe they need to get somewhere for life or death on Shabbos, and maybe you need to make an arrangement for that. But you have to give them kavod. This is like so important because we can see from what happened to Ham, who disrespected his father and saw his father, and his father's esteem was lowered in his eyes.
What happened to
He
him?
saw him naked. He saw
No.
What happened to
was
Ham?
punishment?
So, as a result, his children, through the generations, became less and less respectful of their parents and became less and less respectful of other people, less and less respectful of Hashem, and they became the most wicked people. And we are told by our sages that it started with Ham, that because he showed that disrespect of his parents. So, in other words, if I see a situation and my approach is going to be, I'm going to help the situation. I'm going to give the respect to the person who needs it. I'm not going to say, oh, what a despicable person, I better help them. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to try to help them because I care about them, because Hashem put me in this situation so I could help. Okay? Then I have the right attitude, and then I need to do what I need to do to help. Okay? And it should be with, you know, you should do it with love, and you should do it with gentleness as much as possible. Obviously, if someone's about to go in front of a speeding train, you have to grab them. You have to do something that's not so, you know, loving. It might not seem so loving, but really is an act of love. But it could be a harsh thing. Or if a child is doing something, you have to yell, stop, stop, because they're about to have something terrible happen. You have to yell, right? But in general, we should try to do it in a gentle way, in a soft way, in a loving way, because that's usually the most effective way, right? So in the Torah, it does use the word tameh. How do we know the word tameh, which means impure? Because it's in the Torah. It says it many times. But in this context with Noach, it was not talking about whether there's a halacha that the animal is tahor or tameh. It was just talking about general categories of animals. So therefore, we have to emphasize the positive. We have to look at the positive. But when it comes to knowing what to do, knowing how to proceed to correct the situation, that's when we have to be able to know the word. Is this something pure or is this something impure? We have to know the correct halacha. So it is necessary sometimes to, address negativity for where it is, for what it is, and to call it out and know what it is. Why? Because we have to know how to deal with it in that situation. So this is what we're learning from Parshas Noach, is that in all of our dealings with people, we have to know that if it affects us in a negative way, it's usually a message to me. Maybe I have that in me. But if I'm not affected in a negative way, when all I can see is, wow, this person is suffering, I need to help, then we're in a good position to go in and help. And that's sort of the goal that we should strive for. That when we look at every person and every situation, we should see that it's good. We should see the goodness of the person. We should have respect for the person, right? But that's our goal, so that we won't see negativity. But it doesn't mean we won't see that there's a situation that we need to get involved with and to help. Okay? So, just to bring one last point that goes along with that is that when Hashem created the world, he said the first utterance was Yehi Or, right? Let there be light. That was the first thing he created, was the Or, light. And that wasn't, yeah, right. Yehi Or. Yehi Or means, Yehi means let there be, and Or is light.
Oh, Heor. But I thought the name Leor meant light.
Leor means light is mine. My light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Leor.
I told you I've been studying these
See?
names for like 3 weeks now.
That's awesome. So that when Hashem created the light, that was his first creation, and every day, and it said then that Vayar Elokim Kitov, he saw that it was good. And every day he made more creations. And every day we see that after he finished the creation, he would say, Vayar Elokim Kitov. He saw that it was good. So Chassidus tells us, Rebbe's in a Sikha, he says that what did he see every day? He saw the light in that creation. He saw the light. That initial light that he made, it had gone in and infused that creation with energy. And that was what he saw was good. So every one of us and every creation has that light, that initial light from the very first light of creation. And it's our job to bring out that light. So we have to bring it out in ourselves by learning Torah, by doing good deeds, by davening. But we also have to be an inspiration to others, to bring out the light in others, to see the light in every person, and to bring it out such that that person sees their own light, and now they're able to go and bring out the light in other people. Yeah, so I know that Miriam is always good about saying that every program we have, that everyone should share, because everyone needs to share their light. So it's so beautiful to me that people feel so comfortable here. This has been like an amazing thing, Rita, that you did. That
from
It's not the high school. It's an organization that they became your Bacha 3 years ago to start, and then we do it at people's houses, or we do it on Zoom now.
Okay.
So what's your name?
I wanted to say a few words and I can have the simcha. I always say that
Pronounce your name, Chana.
I'm Shana
Hannah.
Yoshai.
Hannah what?
Yoshai.
Yoshai.
Yoshai. Why are you?
And you can't, do you want to be on Facebook? No. Not on Facebook. Not
You can shut off my picture, but I can talk.
Okay.
Yeah, can you do that for me? Because it's smooth. And I don't want to see you on YouTube, then they're going to fall in love with me. Leave that right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I had so many YouTube, I cleaned them all up.
This is just Zoom.
Okay. So בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח וברכה. Okay, I wanted to let everybody know and tighten up the words of Miriam Yerushalmi and tighten up the words of everybody, the light, the simcha. And I wanted to say that when a person is not happy now, how can he be happy when he gets what he wants? It's something that becoming so much in our subconscious that we want to be happy. We do everything to be happy. We want to get money to be happy. We want to do this to be happy. We want our kids to get married to be happy. If we are not happy now, how can we be happy when we are married? It's going to be the same because it's in so much in our subconscious got into our body and our mind. You see, when we practice simcha and we practice happiness, and I'm saying my word special tomorrow because I know you want to be happy, we all want to be happy, so please pay attention carefully because these words are going to be engraved in your heart and you will remember them all the time.
I will. Thank
All of you. When a person fake it, he fake the simcha, Hashem will help him to make it real simcha. When you fake it until you make it. Yes, fake it until you make it. Sima tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, sima tov, sima tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, sima tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, sima 5 minutes, I changed the atmosphere of the room. Everybody smile. Everybody feel freedom. Everybody feel happy. You forgot your problem for 5
We
minutes.
just needed so much dancing. There's many people needing reflection. I say the name
Well,
of
I
your
just
friend.
said I started to cry because I've been holding this back. But one of my best friends, in her 50s, in Texas, is in the hospital dying from COVID on a ventilator. And she's recovering. I really would have, because this has been like I've been in tears for days. She didn't want anybody to know because she refused the vaccine and kept saying God would keep her safe, and so she didn't want anybody to know that she's in the hospital. But I'm going to give you her name because we need prayers for her.
What's her
And
name?
you don't know her. Her name is Hope Kelly.
Hope
Hope
Kelly.
Kelly. K-E-L-L-E-Y.
Hope any mother?
Basara.
But Sarah. Okay, this saying we read will be for Hope Kelly Bat Sarah. רפואה שלמה מן השמיים. אמן כן. אמן. I'm gonna say שיר למעלות, please repeat after me. שיר למעלות, שיר למעלות. אשא עיניי, אשא עיניי, אל ההרים, אל ההרים, מאין, מאין, יבוא עזרי, עזרי, ועם אדוני, עושה שמיים בארץ, אל ייתן, למות רגליך, אל ינום, שומרך, הנה, לא ינום, ולא אישה, שומר ישראל, שומרך, אדוני צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש, לא יככה, וירח הלילה, אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך מעתה ועד עולם. Can you do Kinili American? She's singing. Wow. Bravo.
עושה שמיים וארץ, אל ייתן למזרק לך, אל ינום שומרך, הנה לא ינום ולא יישן, שומר ישראל, אדוני שומרך, אדוני צילך, על יד ימינך, יומם השמש לא יככה, וירח בלילה, אדוני ישמורך מכל רע, ישמור את נפשך, אדוני ישמור צאתך ובואך, מעתה ועד עולם.
We want more. We want more. We want more. We want more. Simcha. You're working on the Simcha. Come on, go ahead. See, that's why I did Simcha. That's why I did more. I get
She is so young. She has a lot of knowledge. She is artist. She is designer. She knows Torah very much. Now, your beautiful voice, God gave.
Wow, we are honored.
MashaAllah.
What is your name? What is your name? Rachel Imenu. What's better than that?
עננו בזכות הרחם.
עננו בזכות God bless you and give you zivug hagun. You're already married? God give you zivug hagun מן השמיים. בזכות שמחה that we did it, תהילים, all the דברי תורה. Hashem will give you a great, great shomer emunim to Hashem, shomer emunim to you, and He will come that you will be happy with Him, you will have inner peace, and your parents will be happy with this Chatan forever. Amen. And you will be happy to inherit a Beit Ne'eman b'Israel full of children. I want to bless all of you for this coming. Rita, thank you so much for hosting everybody. I really enjoy Sukkot here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining us on Zoom. And Bezat Hashem, we should have every Sunday, 10:30, we have at least a half an hour. Sometimes we'll have longer. Look forward to seeing you. Bezat Hashem soon. Next time in person, hopefully.
She's this is a Rebbitzin, Hannah, and she just heard her speak. She does a lot of classes every day also.
Wonderful.
And she's learning more about I love when I heard you speak, every time I hear you speak, but then when you shared how Hasidus is really like getting you to that next level, I was so happy. It made me so happy. I can't even tell you.
Yay.
Min Hashem elai.
Wow. I had all these open things that I didn't realize the whole time. I think I brought my
I
quarter.
think I should introduce you to Rabbi Zain and Sola. I'm organize you. I'm working on it. It's under the ground.
Thank you.
They know I'm not the Mizrahi.
Sorry that I missed your talk.
To organize in Sola.
Thank you so much, ladies. It was beautiful.
Oh, really? Wow.
Then I write and I go.
I need to read something. Let me read people.
Guys, one more surprise. What can 403?
Gorgeous.
Thank you, ladies. It was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Taller than me. Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Thank you so much. I don't know your name, but thank you. Bye, Miriam. Good to see you. 1 million. Yeah.
So he's 3 miles away from us. He's one of the shows. There's a few shows in the community.
Oh, was it going upside down?
that we started out going to.